Let's give it
All right. Welcome, welcome,
five.
welcome.
Give it 5 seconds.
Oh, all right.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. So, just so that I don't look too stupid, mine said meeting was live streaming when I started, but just in case it wasn't, we'll start over. And welcome to PDA broadcast. Obviously, we've got our shit together and know exactly what we're doing. No questions asked. All right, real quick, guys, before we get started, we have been really excited about the idea of people commenting live during the show. Comments, period, are great, and we love to get them, and we would love to continue the debate with anybody off the live stream, assuming that there isn't too many people to communicate with, which is not a problem right now. So anybody, please comment, let us know what you think. If you have some different facts or statistics, if you think we're full of shit, that's kind of the whole point of this, is we want everybody to have a place where their voice can be heard. So comment whether it's live or not. However, in an attempt to hopefully get some live feedback that we can react to during the show that everybody can listen to and hear, we've created a live comment chat room on the, it's not paid, the group, the Facebook group that you can go into and comment on. I'm going to be monitoring that to see if anybody comments so that we can react to it. And because it doesn't appear that everybody is seeing that when they go to the group, if you also comment inside the actual live feed so that we can see it, then we will react to those comments as well. Hopefully, we'll figure this all out and just have one place to tell everybody to go to, but we really want to hear from you guys. Eddie, we appreciate you commenting last time. That is totally awesome. Mad respect. This is exactly what we want. We apologize that we didn't see it when you made the comment. That's completely our fault. Sorry about that. That's completely our fault. I had actually suggested to people that they do that and that we would watch for it and comment on it. So you did exactly what we asked you to do. But as you can tell, with this being like our fifth one, we haven't completely got it all down perfect yet, but we're working on it. We nevertheless really appreciate you commenting. I hope that you saw that I got back to you. There's still a couple other things that I'm going to post on there in reaction to your post. But most of all, I just wanted to say thanks for reaching out and doing it during the show. That's fantastic. We'll be looking for it this week. So if you're watching or anybody else is, please go on, please post. If you're saying that we're, morons or assholes while you're listening, let us know so that we can respond to our moron and assholeness live with you. So anyways, that's the new feature. There's a couple of other chat rooms on there that hopefully you guys want to take advantage of. There's a room called the debate room, which allows you to continue the debate once the show is over with each other or with us. And so if it's not a live comment, that's where I would suggest you go on there. That's where I'll be looking to responses from the stuff we talked about on the show. And you guys feel free, anybody else watching it, to put in responses to what other people said. That's kind of the idea. And then there is a suggestion chat room as well. That one is intended for you guys to give us ideas. We're always looking for new ideas about what the segments will be about. Ideally, they're stuff that's going on relatively now, right, that people are interested in, that are a little bit polarizing, that people obviously have strong differing opinions about. That's kind of the point of the show. So if you have anything like that, we'll throw it into the fishbowl. And if your thing comes up, we'll use it. If it's just really good, we won't even put it in here. I'll just put it on there. So, give us ideas. Also, any ideas for TV shows or movies that you think we should be, talking about, put that on there and we'll use it. And if we use your idea, we'll give you a shout out for it. So make sure you, put whatever name you want us to use in the shout out. If for some reason you don't want us to use your real name or your full name or whatever, we'll respect whatever you want us to use. That's fine. Just let us know what that is. The only last thing I will say is, anybody can go on there. Anybody can really talk about anything that they want to talk about, regardless of what your viewpoint is. But there's really only two rules, and that's that You're not allowed to be abusive or disrespectful to anybody that you're debating with, and you actually have to debate. It's not a place for you just to like go on and say everybody's bitches and then like never come back on. Like, if you want to put your stuff on there and other people want to respond to it, you know, you need to be willing to respond back and actually participate in the debate process, because that's what it's about. This isn't, you know, a place for you to just, you know, throw hate on people or, you know, be a dick. And I'm not suggesting anybody would be, but just so you know, like if it happens, we'll maybe warn you once or twice, but eventually we'll just take you off the site, because that's not what we're trying to do. So anyways, use it, don't abuse it. Debate, don't hate. Let's have some fun. And unless there's anything else anybody else wants to say about that, we can get the show started. Sounds like we can get the show started. All right. So we got a few good topics today. I'm hoping we're going to get to all of them. I'm kind of excited about them. In no particular order, I think we're going to start with the Satan shoe crisis. This one I just like. I think it's hilarious. But I think we all know what we're talking about here. Victor, you wanna give us a little kind of heads up on what exactly it is we're talking about and how you feel about it?
Well, there's a couple of things about it, I guess. So I think it is in connection with Little Nas. And is it Little Nas X or is it Little Nas?
I think it's Little Nas. Little Nas X. Can you hear us? Oh, you're still on mute.
Yeah, it's Little Miss X.
Little Miss X.
That's more recently.
So there is an X though. It's Little Nas X.
There is an X.
Okay.
There is an X.
It's Little Miss X.
Okay.
But anyways, he was part of an art. It was actually an art project. Really, the whole deal was it was supposed to be an art display or project or whatever, where they were actually filling up. Well, not filling up, but putting blood in sneakers, doing some aftermarket dress ups of the sneakers and then reselling them for a crap load, and under the new name Satan sneakers or Satan shoes.
Taking Nike shoes, right?
There are Nike shoes because
Right.
Nike is actually putting a lawsuit on him saying that it's bringing down the brand.
Right.
Now they've done this for a long time, dressing up sneakers and reselling them. People that are sneakerheads, they love these things, but
and they've never really gotten any pushback from it either.
No, because it usually, it makes their brand more popular.
Right.
But apparently they believe that connection with Satan may be bad. So
Well, I think when you start putting biological hazard inside shoes, it's frowned upon.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but I mean it's like a drop, right? I mean, I don't know, it's really a biohazard.
Well, that's still
Okay,
you
a
can
drop,
get
right?
from a drop.
Hey, would you want to drop a blood from somebody that has like AIDS or something like deadly across your lip?
If somebody like literally pulled it out of their vein and then dripped it like on a cut, that I'd have a problem with, because yes, then I could get AIDS from
blood. I don't want your cooties.
All right. No,
hey, you have open pores in your feet all the time.
All right. Yeah, Victor, this is your dot. Don't worry, you're gonna get your shot. Victor gets his 2 minutes uninterrupted.
I'll be fucking with him.
Hell,
I know.
Honestly, if idiots are gonna buy shit like this, let them have it.
For real.
I don't see why I'm gonna pay $5,000 for a pair of sneakers that have someone else's blood in them. I mean, I like people. Like there's people that I like that I would like to be more close to, but not in that way. I'm still not buying it. And but if idiots are gonna buy it, let them buy it.
All right, cool. Just so you guys know, I got a new sound effect for when y'all's time runs out. Let me know if you can hear it. Wait, oh, it's a piece of crap, so bear with me while I try to get it to work. Yeah? What do you think? Time's running out.
At first.
Real quick. I got this. My kids got way into April Fool's Day this year, but everybody was like working and stuff on April Fool's Day. So they came to us and were like, can we move it to Saturday when, you know, we actually can like do it full on? And they made it parents versus the kids. And I was like, hell yeah, we'll do that. Are you kidding me? Like, that sounds like perfect idea. And it was awesome. They came up with some good ones, but my favorite one was I got this fart machine, and my original intention was to hide it like under the bed and then wait for them to be sitting there and make it sound like they farted, right? Like that's the normal joke. Only this thing that I bought's kind of a piece of crap, and it times out really quickly, in fact. And so you constantly have to like turn it on and off, and then it makes the noise when you turn it on. So you can't even do that discreetly. So you have to like somehow get it under there like, you know, a minute before they sit down, or it doesn't work. And so finally I gave up and I just put it in my pocket and was like, all right, guys, I got to go use the bathroom. And then I just, you know, would push it. Oh, sorry about that, you know? And they're like, ah! They're like freaking out. I'm like, you know, falling around. It's no big deal. And I keep, you know, pushing the button and making different sounds. They totally bought it. It was so hilarious. They were like crying and laughing and throwing stuff at me and like trying to get out of the room. It was awesome. Anyways, all right, Dot, it sounded like you had wrapped up. Victor, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, Dot, 2.5 minutes. Don't go over. You'll get farted on, brother.
I'll fart right now. Just give me one fart. Just like
one fart.
Yeah,
one fart. Here we go. Do you like? Let's see.
Cause I'm with the shit, Jack. Yeah. That's a wet one.
No, why is that so funny?
Nice little wet one.
Yes, sir.
I think it's a gimmick. It's trash. I think he made a huge mistake and it backfired on him. But nonetheless, he got the attention he wanted.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'm saying he got a little bit of attention. It didn't go the way he planned, and they're just utilizing. There's probably like a deeper rooted reasoning and, you know, agendas behind it, but just on a surface level, he should get a fart for that idea. Because it's just dumb. It's just dumb.
All right, here we go.
And
give him a number 8.
The thing about Nike is that Nike always support the shoe heads. You know,
right.
they don't trip on, you know, you buying their product, you know, as a collector or as a fan and you know, making SpongeBob versions or, you know, your favorite NFL team version and then reselling them. That you purchase it. You can do what you want with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I think he kind of, if there was a proverbial line across, he crossed it. One, right. You're putting a biological chemical, like, you know, biohazard inside of a product that can spill or waste, you know what I'm saying, out onto anywhere on someone's carpet or whatever the case may be. You know, secondly, I mean, they can't stand on a religious point as far as like Satan or God, because that's neither here nor there. From what I did hear, and I don't know, and somebody may be able to fact check this, but he also had the other shoe, like the God shoe, and he quoted like Luke 3:16 or some other crazy shit from the Bible, or whatever, to kind of offset the other one. But the more popular one is going to be the controversy-based one, the one about Satan.
Every time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think it was a bad move, a stupid move on him. And Nike's not suing him; they're suing the company that's selling them.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Which I mean, you know, why not? Because you're utilizing the way they're advertising it as, oh well, these are Nike shoes, yes, but they're not Nike sponsored.
Right.
Shoes.
Right.
So I'll send that the seats letter real quick.
Right. So I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying. The couple things I'll say is, from a biohazard standpoint, like I know that's the more, not particularly with you guys, but like, you know, from a PR standpoint, that's the more popular argument to make, because you're not saying, you know, we disagree with people's expression and blah, 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 blah. It's you know, I personally, I think that's kind of bullshit. My personal opinion, like the idea, like, you know, guy wasn't filling it up with blood. He wasn't like sealing it in a vial or anything. He was putting a drop of blood in the sole, like in it, you know, you can't get AIDS from putting on a shoe that somebody put a drop of blood in a week, a month ago before you put the shoe on. I mean, that's just not how it works. The AIDS virus doesn't live in the sole of shoes for a long enough period of time for that to be an issue. In my opinion, I'm not a scientist, but from what I remember learning in science class, like you don't have to worry about living with somebody with AIDS bleeding on the countertop and then you coming back a day later and wiping it up. It's just that's not how it works. It's not going to live. It's not going to continue to be contagious at that point. I don't think there's any real issue here with anybody having any kind of infectious problems with what's going on. And I don't think that's what anybody actually had a problem with. It was just something that was easier to bitch about than the fact that they don't like the fact that he made a Satan shoe. And we're really religious in this country, especially, Catholicism is what rules. And especially when you're talking about politics and government,
Christianity, not Catholicism.
You're right. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Christianity.
We've only had, I think, one or two Catholic presidents.
Right. But you never hear anybody complaining about somebody having something in the front yard. I mean, it's like that interferes with Judaism or Buddhism. Like the problem is when it interferes with the Catholic religion. That's when everybody gets worked up.
Christian religion.
Christian religion. Sorry, you're right. And I think that's what the problem was here. Plus, guys missed he also made a video, right, where the devil makes out with, was it Jesus or so? I can't remember now. It was really obviously very, controversial, right?
Yeah, that's different. Yes, they came out at the same time, but that's a Nas X video. That doesn't really have direct.
It doesn't have anything to do with the shoe. Okay, I didn't realize that.
It's metaphoric because Satan's a fallen angel, so he's up in heaven making out with what allegedly is.
Right. I think the problem was that it was two guys.
He slides down a pole. He slides down a
stripper pole
to hell and lands on the devil's lap and gives him a lap dance.
Right.
As a grown ass man.
Right.
With his balls in the air.
Where the issue probably really was, right? And so my issue with that is I feel like it's the ugly part of the cancel culture, of where we just really don't like this, and so we're gonna come after you and destroy you, and not because you're really doing anything bad. And that's what I think is the even bigger problem with the cancel culture than we even really get into is now people doing stupid shit that they shouldn't be doing are like, oh, this is just cancel culture. And it's like, no, you doing that is something that's probably not acceptable, and that it's okay that people, aren't okay with the fact that you're sleeping with 14-year-old. That's not cancel culture. That's you being a pedophile. It's not the same thing. And assholes are using this whole cancel culture thing now to use it as a defense for any shitty, disgusting behavior that anybody does. That's not the problem. There's a difference between speaking an opinion about something, saying something that's a little controversial, making a joke that's a little offensive, and having your world destroyed, and being a disgusting human being that hurts and fucks with people's lives and then suffers the consequences. That's kind of
what category does Lil Nas fit in?
The bad one. He's not hurting anybody. He's not,
the category of what the fuck are you doing? Go sit your little stupid ass down somewhere. There's no point for this record or the music video. None whatsoever. What are you doing?
Sure.
Where OG at? Somebody need to sit you down and you grounded or something. What's your point, bro?
I don't know. It's the same stuff that Madonna was pulling in the 80s. She was doing shock culture shit.
Right. And that's the point is Look, nobody's saying that you shouldn't be able to get on this show and talk about the fact that you think he's an idiot for making that video. Of course you should be able to do that. You don't have to like it, but if we're going to defend free speech and the freedom of expression and so forth, you don't get to ruin the guy's life because you don't like the video. That's the ugly.
That's why I say, that's the cancel culture shit. That's them doing that.
Right.
Me, I was just, telling like, hey man, go. Your homies around you, your big homies, need to be like, what the fuck you doing, bro?
Right.
Sit your stupid ass down and go write another song.
I mean, look,
like, it ain't as serious to be like, oh my God, we need to cancel them. Shut y'all stupid ass up too. But you need to go take a nap.
Right. I mean, look, I'm not going to buy the Satan shoe. I think it's a little ridiculous. That said, he's not wrong in the sense that there are plenty of people that are going to love it and be all over it and, and want to fuck with it. And it is going to get him the publicity that he's looking for, which was the whole point, right?
Yep.
And so he didn't even really fuck up. He got exactly what he wanted.
He got exactly what he wanted. We're talking about it. He got it what he wanted.
Exactly. I think it's a little hypocritical of Nike to be like, hey, go out and do it anytime we like what you're doing. But then the second we don't like it, we're going to have a problem with it. Legally, do they have a right to do that? Yes, because they absolutely have the right to ignore when people are using their product illegally and then not ignore it when they don't like it. It doesn't not make them hypocritical, though, for doing it. I mean, grow a little
they're not actually legally allowed to do that.
To do what?
To do what you're talking about.
Completely distasteful.
Who's not allowed to?
R. Kelly had a song called Half on a Baby. What if he sold some all-white Air Forces with a drop of semen in them?
I would think that's gross and I wouldn't buy them. That they're not going to cause any actual.
So why would you buy somebody's blood, bro?
But if some other sick motherfucker wants to buy them, then I guarantee you, as disgusting as that is, had he done it, they would have fucking sold out in seconds. You know it's true.
Quick as shit.
If Michael Jordan wipes his ass with one of those, wet wipes instead of toilet paper, right, and then puts it in a Ziploc bag and puts it on eBay, that shit's gonna go for like 10 grand, and you know it.
It's gonna sell.
But that's Michael Jordan, bro.
Yeah, right. That makes it worth it.
That makes it okay.
Michael Jordan.
I'm just saying.
Putting a bid in right now.
But I'm curious, Victor. You're saying Nike. You're saying doesn't have a legal foot to stand on for suing him for reselling their product after.
Not for reselling. They don't.
Not for reselling. It's for tarnishing the brand.
Right.
Tarnishing the brand. Because you're actually anything you're able to purchase,
you can resell.
Anything you're able to purchase, you can resell. That's what garage sales are all about.
Right. But
you can
garage sales
add stuff to it and sell it also.
You can. So, like, if you take I guess that's true. I mean, you think about cars. I mean, obviously, people
resell
do
them all the
kinds
time.
of shit to cars and resell them. Yeah.
Right.
It's actually, which is funny. I just watched the last Blockbuster movie, the movie about the last Blockbuster, and that's what videotape rentals were all about. They actually the industry tried to sue videotape rental places, and they said that they couldn't, and it actually went to the Supreme Court, and everything said they couldn't. That after you buy something, you can do whatever you want with it. You can sell it, you can rent it, you can whatever you want.
Right. Well, but you can't make copies of it and sell it. That's it has to be the original one.
It has to be the original one. That's right. You can't copy it. Yeah. It has to be the original one.
But he's not doing that. He bought a bunch of their shoes. It's not like he bought one and then made a bunch of replicas. Like, he bought all the shoes and then
that is also one of their deal. Is the amount of shoes that he made is a problem, but I don't know how that causes a problem, because again, the video rental places bought a crap load of videos.
Right.
Jurassic Park. I imagine they bought 1,000 of those.
To see how that plays out. And see
What you say about Jurassic Park?
The video rental places. Yeah. The video rental places probably bought 1,000 of the copies of those.
I watched that thing. It was like, is it on HBO or Hulu?
I think it was Netflix or something. I don't know.
Okay. I watched it though. It was cool, and it was funny listening to people talk about like how like walking into the video store, and like how good
How it
I
smelled
remember
and
it.
this and that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
liked it, but I gotta say, like, I don't know. The idea that I could get it without having to go there made me happy. Like,
You're right, but I had like the Blockbuster membership also
yeah,
for
yeah.
a little bit, where they had like the digital and pick up a video or something. And I used to still go in every once in a while. I'd return instead of returning it in the mail, I'd return it to the actual store,
Yeah,
and then I'd go and look around, see if there was
I
another
had
one I
that
liked.
too. I did it with the video games.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I would rent the video games. I had one on the PlayStation 2. They had a thing that you could buy where you could put a hard drive in the PlayStation 2 and download like 90% of the games you could
Yeah,
download
no.
to the hard drive. And I would do that. So I had that pass so I could go, I'd rent the game, copy it, take it right back. You know what I mean? I had
Yeah.
like 100 something games on that thing. It was awesome. And then of course, inevitably the PlayStation 3 comes out and you don't want to play any of those shitty games anymore. And you're like, damn it. This thing is totally worthless now. Oh man. What is up with I finally just on a quick, I think we've kind of done this one through and it hadn't taken that long. So just really quickly, what the fuck the PlayStation 5? I mean, I guess I read something on the internet that the issue is that there's certain parts that are
Yeah, there's
hard
some
to
Chinese
get
chip.
because capacitors, I think is what it is for the specific capacitor that they need because of the pandemic, like, certain places shut down and shit. But god damn, I actually got on, I think it was GameStop, their website, while they had them, right? Like for the first time since November, I've been going on to, like, I do this like 5-6 times a day. I go on to all the different, like, Best Buy, Target, Walmart, GameStop, and Amazon every day. I have them like saved in my little folder, and I go through there and I look to see, and if it's there 5 times a day. Never once has there been a PlayStation anywhere. Finally, I get a email saying, "Hey, GameStop's gonna have them here real fucking soon." I didn't see it right when I got it, so I went straight to the website. Sure enough, there's like 3 bundle packages, and they're all of them say add to my cart, and I'm like, ugh. Like I even like backed out of the page by accident the first time because I was so ready for it to say there was nothing there. It was like, oh shit, did I just fuck up? Like, I went back in and that one was gone. I went to one of the other bundles, they both had it, and more than I wanted to spend because it came with a extra shit. But I was like, fuck it. At least I'm paying extra for something and not just a markup, So I'm like, add to cart. Sorry, we can't, try again later, right? So like I found the fastest way was to go back a page and then to the page and you hit it again. I did that like 85 times and couldn't get the shit in my cart one time, dude. And then of course, like 6 minutes later, they're fucking out of shit. You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. I've never, I mean, and all the times they've released games, they've done this where they purposely short it for like the first month to gain interest or blah, blah. But I mean, fuck, that shit has been out for 6 months, 5-6 months now, and you still can't get one to save your life. I mean, Jesus. Anyways, anybody knows where I can get a PlayStation for relatively close to sticker price, let me know.
Or me.
If it consists of like send me the money and then I'll send it to you, just you don't have to bother. I'm not gonna do that.
There's a prince in Africa that needs to borrow
right.
bills.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right. So anyways, that was topic. Anybody else want to talk about some devil shoes?
Nope.
Okay. I think I'm gonna save my favorite for last. I really can't wait, but I'm going to because I like to postpone the joy. So we'll go on to the other one. This one I believe was Victor's. Victor really wanted to get this one in, so we're gonna do it. Is it Delia?
Dalia?
Dalia,
Chris
right?
D'Elia?
Chris
Yeah, Chris
D'Elia.
D'Elia.
Chris D'Elia, who, if I'm being 100% honest, up and until very recently, I thought was very funny and liked his stand up in the shows that he was in. Was, you know, really not big fan, a fan.
Yep.
Obviously has suffered some controversy lately. Got a mixed bag there. I know it originally started with him catching crap about the fact that he kind of had like a girlfriend in all the states that he toured in, and people were thinking that was kind of piggish of him. My personal opinion is like, you know, if you want to date a comedian, only when he's in your town. Like, I think you kind of know what the deal is there. I don't know how much sympathy I'm supposed to have for you, a person who willingly dates a very famous person like 4 weekends out of a year. You can't really expect that you're his one and only. So I don't know what people are complaining about. Like, they're grown adults, they're doing consensual shit. Who gives a fuck? But that's not all he ended up getting in trouble for. It turns out he was also sexting with a 17-year-old high school student, which seems to have drawn a little bit more attention than the other stuff. I gotta say, this one does really fucking bother me. I know it's easy to pan that off on the fact that I have 2 daughters and I'd be murdering the motherfucker if it was my kid that he'd been talking to. But I just think it's fucking gross, period. Like, before I had kids, like, I'm not saying people have to be the same age. I don't have a big problem with age differences. And I think there are the extremely rare circumstances where there's a really old person and a really young person where, even if there wasn't that age gap, or later, like, as an example, there was that high school kid who was sleeping with his teacher and she went to jail. And then he became an adult. She got out of jail. Now they live together and have 3 kids. And it's been,
they're married. I think they're actually straight up married. Yeah.
They are. No, they are. They live together. They're married. They have kids. Now, I don't know if that'll last forever, but it's lasted at least long enough. I mean, most relationships, a lot of relationships don't last forever. That's obviously not the standard. They've been together for a really long time, very successfully. But that is certainly the exception and not the rule. I mean, more often than not, when you're talking about somebody of that age group, as opposed to somebody of his age group, you're talking about the fact that somebody who can very easily prey and take advantage of the fact that you're naive, that you don't have a lot of life experience, and they can very easily and more often than not become the very dominant force in the relationship and take advantage of the relationship and use their knowledge and experience against the relationship and fuck people up. And I mean, is this the exception to the rule? I mean, the fact that he has 80 other girlfriends in other states would probably suggest not. Like, this is probably not the exception to the rule.
He also has a fiance.
There you go. So this is not some deep, despite age, love, story of the ages. This is a dude who likes the fact that because she's young, she's hot, and is okay with the fact that he's going to have to tell her no when she asks him to her high school fucking prom. And that's fucking disgusting. I don't know if it's illegal or not. I mean, 17 and 18, some states it's 17, some states it's 18. I think there's a huge difference between ages 17 and 18, even though it's only 1 year.
I don't think so.
But honestly, even if she was 18, I think it was fucking disgusting. And you're famous as fuck. There's lots of really hot chicks out there. They're like 22, 23 that nobody should have any real reason to complain or bitch about. Why even open this disgusting can of fucking worms in the first place? All right, that's my.
No, you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. He's a douchebag. And there's no defending that. He's kind of a douchebag. So yeah. That's true. But it's, again, the same bullshit cancel culture that everything else is, So there's he's taking advantage of the fact that he's being a star, but that's no different than just about most people, especially most men that become famous and are thought of as stars. I mean, we've seen the whole thing, forever. It's oh my gosh, the 80s, the 1980s, were filled with the hairband people that used to take girls back to their behind to their tour bus or to the backstage or whatever, and they'd have people just freaking her her. I mean, it's the same BS has been going on forever. It's just like now we become all of a sudden outraged by it, even though it's been going on forever. I don't know. It's just yes, he's a douchebag, and if you don't like the idea that what he's doing or what happened, you should not support him. But it's the same as stupid Nas. I mean, if you don't like it, don't support him. But I just think the outrage is misplaced or whatever. I don't know. It's BS to me.
All right. So unless this Dot, you're
He
up.
like left his phone in the car.
I was gonna ask Dot's car if he had a comment.
No.
I'm fucking with you. Go ahead.
Oh, you talking about the dude who had a bunch of girlfriends in a bunch of states?
Yeah, and a 17-year-old girlfriend in one state.
Well, bust his ass for that one. But I mean, shit, he was a single man. If you're dealing with grown women, it's the norm. You're
Right.
single, they know who you are, they know you're popular, they know you're famous. You know what
Exactly.
they're after. You know what I'm saying? But that underage shit, yeah. My daughter's 16. I bust his motherfucking ass.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
I don't
saying.
do that shit, I don't give a fuck. No. If she, how old is this cat? Like what, 30 something?
At
Yeah, he's a
least.
bit.
I think he's in his 40s. He's got to be our age.
19-year-olds, bro. You can make a child that age. You know what I'm saying? Your child could be that age. Like that's some creepy shit. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But you got, mid-20s, late 20s around your age, girlfriends in different states. If they already know what's going on, that's how y'all got to plan it out or situate it. That's cool. But fuck around with the mind of a child, I'll bust his motherfucking ass.
Yeah, he's 40. He's either 39 or age 41 years now.
Okay.
I was getting gas, by the way.
All
You
right.
had gas, I thought.
So yeah, I mean that's my thing is I agree totally with the idea that if he wants to have as many girlfriends as many states, like who gives a shit? Like he's grown ass. If they're adults, if it's consensual, I don't give a shit, right? But I do say that you're right. People, famous people have been doing this for years, but that doesn't make it okay. I mean,
Right.
sometimes we grow and become, and realize behavior that we've been doing is wrong. I mean, obviously sexual harassment issues are coming to light now and people are standing up against that. And that's not what the culture was 10, 15 years ago. It is
That's
now.
true.
And so there is a difference between, and that's kind of what I was saying before. I don't think you're arguing with that, but I don't know that this is harmless. Like with the sneaker shit, like you don't like the sneaker, don't buy the fucking sneaker, right? But if he's doing harm to a 17-year-old girl because a guy who has apparently 20, 30 other girlfriends, like either, that's just, you gotta question. I don't know. You just got to question what are you thinking there, right?
You're right, but I mean, like, how did he take her? Did he take her ID? I mean,
in one of the chats, he says like, "Oh, you're 17 and in high school." Like, there is no doubt he knew exactly how old she was.
Well, he's making it hard to defend himself. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so, I mean, look, it's kind of makes me think of, this is different, but like when all that shit happened with Mike Tyson, and I'm not commenting on whether he did or he didn't do it, but I remember thinking like, Mike Tyson, why on earth would he have done that? He can have any woman, not any, but I mean, as plenty women as he wants. He doesn't need to do that, so he must not have done it. And what we've come to learn is, whether he did or not, it isn't about the fact that you can't get a girl and so you force yourself on him. It's a power thing. It's all this other
bring
shit.
back R. Kelly.
Right.
Mike
that you
Tyson
do.
could have you if he wanted.
That's right.
So, yeah, I think we had that disgusting conversation once before. Yeah. And, a bloody beat up me was the conclusion to that story. But anyways, I'm just saying, you see that he can obviously get plenty of women. There is actually not even any question about that at this point. So now you have to ask, why he then deliberately decided to mess with a 17-year-old girl. Like he chose to do that. It wasn't, not that it would make it right, but it wasn't like because it was the only girl that would talk to him, or because he's really nerdy, or he can't talk to adult women because he's too shy or some shit. Like he can get lots of girls and chose to fuck around with a 17-year-old high school student. Like, I ain't got no love for that.
If he could deal with a chick that age, knowing it's wrong, he'd probably do it with a chick younger. That's the demented and evilness of that motherfucker.
Well, that does sound scary.
He felt like, oh, well, she was 17. Oh, I know it's wrong. Da, da, da. If you're willing to go there, you're willing to go there. You're willing to go worse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. I don't. Yeah, I mean, that would certainly be something I'd be worried about. I don't know that that's 100% means. But yeah, I mean, you'd question if he's willing to, despite all of his other choices, if he's willing to make that decision. What other fucked up, disgusting decisions is he willing to make for no fucking good reason whatsoever? You know what I mean? Like, there's not that there, in my opinion, is a good reason, but in here, that like it's just because why the fuck not? That's a really bad reason to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a really bad reason. And that's one of the things I was trying to say before about cancel culture is like, cancel culture is shitty, but like this idea that now all of a sudden people have a voice and we can get outraged without it having to go through all these channels like we used to. There is some real good to that right now. Minority groups and places that people never listened to before have all this power and a voice that they should have. And that's a good thing when it's used correctly, right? The problem is we gotta not abuse that power and destroy people that don't deserve it. We often hear about the famous people who have money that they can live off of when they lose their job and have the ability to hire PR firms and expensive lawyers and shit. But it happens to nobodies all the time who don't have any of those resources, whose lives like literally get destroyed. They lose their jobs, their homes, they get divorced. I mean, it's like utterly fucked up because they made some joke somebody doesn't like, or because they were an asshole 30 years ago. I mean, goddamn. Huh?
What they did at the Cosby. But in his case, man, jokes, aside from his jokes, whatever he does, right? His issue is that he had a girlfriend that was 17.
Right.
That ain't no goddamn girlfriend. What do you have in common with that child?
Right.
You ain't got shit in common.
Right. I would argue if he had made a joke about like, in one city, the only girl I can get to call me 17, like that would have been a disgusting joke, but it would have been a joke. And I would have said, it's a joke. Get over yourselves. I have young daughters. I think it's gross, but it's a joke. Like, so what? It's a joke. This ain't a joke. This is what the dude is actually fucking doing. And it might actually be causing real harm to some real people. And there's no reason he has to do it except that he has enough celebrity and money that he just thinks he should be able to. You know what I mean? That's fucked up.
Yeah, fuck that dude.
I cancel him. It's official. Cancel that motherfucker.
So this is one of those. Oh, this is the okay version.
Yeah, this is the okay version. I mean, I think there is sometimes, and it is not lost on me the fact that it's really scary that who gets to decide when it's legitimate or not, right? And what are the criteria for that? And that's really scary. We're all going to have different opinions on that. But there are some people that are far enough away from that line that it seems pretty fucking obvious. If you're making a stupid joke, leave a motherfucker alone. If you're having sex with kids, that's serious. You know what I mean? Like there's some areas where we're not like, woo, which way do we go here? It's like, this is pretty fucking clear. Like Bill Cosby isn't somebody that you go, I'll leave the poor guy alone. Why are you trying to kill? I mean, that dude like was drugging and raping people. Like, you cancel that motherfucker, you know?
I don't think he was drugging them men. That last looked like Howard Stern. he
Yeah.
probably needed to take the drugs himself, and she drank out of his cup.
Yeah, I'm sure all 35 times. I'm sure that's what happened. Yeah.
You
No,
gotta
I mean,
realize, people back then, bro, that's like people now smoke weed. They're
Yeah.
like,
Wait, so are we
15 years
defending
from
Bill
now-
Cosby now? Is this
Yeah,
what's going
'cause-
on?
They're like
'Cause
15
it-
years from now. They're like 15 years from now. Somebody like, oh, I went out with Adam and he gave me some weed. It was a super high strand, and I passed out, and we had sex. Or
yeah,
what
that's
happened?
I mean, the problem with that scenario is at least she willingly decided she wanted to smoke some weed with me. Right. And then the other part of that is if she passed out, I wouldn't have had sex with her because that's fucked up. Whatever the reason she passed out, I'm not going to have sex with an unconscious woman.
Y'all had sex and y'all passed out and woke up, and now that y'all are sober or whatever, you know, oh shit, we had sex. Okay. We all were both high.
That's complicated.
Like,
Right.
People were roofing themselves. Hell, I've roofied myself in Las Vegas.
Yeah, but that's
You know?
not what any of these people are saying. None of these people are saying they roofied themselves. They're all saying that they got offered a drink and had no idea what was happening. And then the people who work around him supported that and said, yeah, they didn't know what was going to happen to them. He was taking advantage of them. It wasn't just his word against, and I say 35, I think it was a lot more than that. If it had been, especially like, I hate to say it, but with this,
but I don't
I think if
know.
it had been one case or two
Right,
cases,
that's
or
what I'm saying.
like a handful of cases.
I'd have to repeat myself.
Oh, you think that he didn't drug the ugly girl? Is that what you're saying?
No what?
what are
He
you
didn't
saying?
drug the ugly girl? The ugly
No, I
girl
think he was trying
was
to
straight
drug
up okay.
himself.
Oh,
He was offering the girl a glass of cold water, but she grabbed the wrong cup.
Oh, like how many was it? It was I said 35. I just threw a random number out there. It might have even been more than that. They all accidentally grabbed the wrong cup.
I mean, if they were all ugly, I mean, that's his routine. That's his dance. You go like, damn, gotta fuck this ugly bitch again. Bottoms up.
All right. And so I don't know that I'm following the logic on this. So because they're ugly, they took the wrong cup.
I'll give the logic, right? Let's say you go to the bar and you know you ain't finna pull these models. So what you gonna do? You gonna get filled off of Tecates and tequila shots, and
well, she really does look like Howard Stern.
That way more than you.
Right. But okay, let's go back to my place and party. None of that consists of me drugging them and then waiting until they can't tell me whether they want to have sex or not to have sex with them. That's where the issue comes into play.
There are literally 60 accusers.
60.
60.
And
they all dropped the album at the same time.
What?
They all dropped the Bill Cosby "Touch Me" album at the same time. 30 years
like
later.
they all came. I mean, a couple of them came forward, and then the rest
Within
of
the last
them.
5 years, definitely.
Yeah, the rest of them, as it started to come out,
what was
responded.
he doing around that time?
Cosby?
Oh, it's like throughout. It's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
actual accusations go throughout like 30, 40 years.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
Okay.
he's been doing
So
it
it's
like
like-
forever.
And ain't nobody be like, hey, Heathcliff, you gotta stop.
Right.
Nobody-
Essentially,
problem,
the
yeah.
idea is that he was worth so much money that the people that knew what was going on kind of pretended that they didn't because they didn't want to lose out on the money they were making.
And also, a lot of the girls were getting something out of it. Now, granted,
Yeah.
okay, it still doesn't make it okay, but like some got
Definitely.
like their college paid for, some just straight up got money. He was when they would come back and
roles.
like complain, they would pay him off.
You pay him off. Yeah. Yeah. Which doesn't make it right at all. Because, I mean, here's the thing. Like, that does, if the idea was I'm going to go in, like, I can excuse the idea of a woman coming to you. I think it's still a bad idea because you're going to get in a lot of trouble and it's not going to look good. But if a woman comes to you and says, "Hey, if you give me a part, I'll sleep with you," you know, she's choosing to do that. I don't know what she has to complain about, right? But that's not what happened here. That's not like, it wasn't no quid pro quo. This was like, now that I've done this, I'll destroy you if you come public. And instead of you going public and getting destroyed, why don't you instead take this thing that's going to make your life better? And given those two choices, women decided, I'm not going to destroy my life. I'm going to go with this thing that's going to better my life. None of that makes it okay.
Yeah, none of that makes it okay.
Yeah, it's all trash.
Yeah,
He's in jail.
it's really fucked up. And the saddest thing is, it's not the saddest thing, but it's, I mean, everybody loved Bill Cosby. He seemed like this amazing dude. I finally had to tell myself, I'm going to love Dr. Huxtable and I'm going to hate Bill Cosby. You know what I'm saying? Because Dr. Huxtable is a character and I can still love that motherfucker because that character did not drug or rape anybody. You know what I'm saying? I can love that character.
Yeah.
Yes. I was just talking about this shit with somebody the other day, and we were talking about different. I mean, it's such a great show. It's so sad that it's now attached to that. I mean, it did so many great things.
Even the crappy one that came after it, or whatever.
It's a different world. That was a good one too. Yeah,
that was a great one. No,
yeah.
He actually did another crappy one with Felicia Richard, where they were like they were married couple, but they lived somewhere else, and they had a cousin or something
really
with them. Yeah, there was another one.
After the kids moved out.
Yeah, it was like Mr. Cosby or something.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
They had a reboot.
Yeah.
Remember the first one where the whole family did the singing thing and the little girl comes out and is like, "Oh, baby!" That was like, that's like TV gold, man. I could watch that shit all day. It's so funny. And she did it so good too. Like her little face.
She did good, yeah.
Oh man, that shit was fucking fantastic, dude. I love that shit.
Yeah, you know what? My whole family used to sit down and watch.
It was a great show.
Yeah.
It was a great show. And it did, I mean, like, it was like one of, if not the very first show, maybe the Jeffersons, they put them in a pretty good light. But like, it was the first show that was like, yeah, look, there are intelligent, smart Black people raising good families and making good decisions. And that's not ridiculous. You know, of course, that's what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, that was awesome.
Like that was majority of the shows out during those times. You had Good Times. You had Living Singles. You had a lot of shows.
But that was kind of the first one where, I mean, that's what I'm saying. These guys weren't struggling. The Jeffersons weren't struggling, but he also wasn't like this really well-balanced guy that would sit down and give you these like really intelligent lessons on shit. You know what I mean? But he wasn't struggling, which was really cool. They were living the good life. But like the Cosbys was the first one where it was like, you know, this really wholesome family where the parents are both successful and all their friends that were Black would come over and they were like professors and all this shit too. Like you got to see all these really fucking stand-up members of the community, you know, on a TV show that were Black. I didn't see a lot of that.
Well, there were other shows. You had shows like
but it was like Sanford and Son, though. I mean, you know, they owned a dump.
You
had
Different Strokes. You had
Different Strokes. That's the one where the white guy adopts the two Black kids, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
Child trafficking.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think for the time that was, you know, like people never do that too. Like they don't ever give credit to people that like what they did was not the perfect scenario, but like the fact that they even did that was pretty amazing at the time that they did it. You know what I mean? I think like Different Strokes and the Jeffersons and stuff, was it the ideal is, you know, no, but the fact that they even did that at the time and put that out there was pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good Times was shit.
Same thing with All in the Family. I mean, that guy was like kind of a racist asshole and they like called him on it, you know what I mean? And like made him kind of look like a racist asshole. And like Jefferson would make him look like an idiot. You know what I mean? Like that was pretty groundbreaking, and people kind of shit all over that show too.
Yeah, Meathead. I love that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, his kids would give him crap about it, and like he slowly but surely started to realize he was being an idiot. You know what I mean? Like that was cool.
Yeah, we need another show like that now.
Yeah. Right. All right. So it looks like we have wrapped up Chris.
So now apparently it's your favorite. What's going on? What's down?
Hold on. Yeah. So give me 1 second. I'm responding to somebody. It's not a comment for the show, but he is reaching out about the show. So I just want to get back at him real quick. Okay, sorry. Yes, my favorite one. Hold on, let me see if I can find the picture. Give me 1 second. Because the picture, you know, is worth 1,000 you're morons. Let's see. Here we go. Come on. Where is it? Hold on. Yeah, here we go. I found one. Here we go. Here is your almighty Q, everybody. The brilliant guy with a clearance that doesn't even actually exist, that like had all this future information about what the direction the world was going through, that made morons like fucking go do all this stupid shit, turns out to be a fucking like 20-something-year-old half American, half Chinese kid who's like nothing but a computer programmer who like took over the Q thing and said all this stupid shit to build up his own fucking message board. Like that's what it all was.
QAnon?
Yeah. Now, I will say, to be fair, the understanding is that he hijacked the original Q back when very few people were talking about it, or way before it was a big deal, right? And the idea was that the guy that was originally posting had to switch message boards because they blocked him on the one that he was really on, and this guy and his dad owned the message board that he switched to, and the belief is that he just using his powers as the mediator of the board took it over and became Q without telling anybody, right? And then went on to just post stupid shit just like the other guy did. The brilliance about taking it over is if you look at all the posts that Q ever made, none of them are specific about fucking anything. It's all shit that like doesn't actually mean anything, and you have to go in and decipher the hidden meanings, which could be fucking anything, which is exactly what people did. And so I could be Q, like all I'd have to do is say the events of the Black Plague. No, that would be too specific. Look out for the events. You should see it. Is it really there? Boom, I'm Q. I mean, that's how stupid these things were. May 8th, 2021. And, question mark. I mean, that like those are the posts of the world's most brilliant, guy with this super high clearance. He must work right next to Donald Trump to be able to type in, is the summer really gonna be summer, or is it cold coming your direction? Why do you need to have some super secret clearance to say shit like that? I never understood this, except for the fact that I don't understand people that can take little tiny bits of information and turn it into worldwide conspiracies. I mean, the shit that the guy posted about has nothing to do with these massive, Democrats are molesting children, eating children, having secret cabal meetings, trying to take over the entire globe. I mean, like all this shit. And if you look at the posts, none of them say anything about any of that shit. And yet they all knew that's exactly what it meant somehow. And it was this, guy who was super smart, right? Just could see things coming so far ahead of time. And he had his
Weren't
Q.
they all proven wrong too, or something? I mean,
well, that's the thing. He never said. Well, eventually, this guy started saying shit like Trump is going to take back the election. He finally actually started making predictions that didn't come true, which was where he really fucked up. Because the brilliance of Q was that people could decipher it, right? And as a group all decide, oh, this means that on this date this is going to happen. And then when it didn't happen, they would just go, oh, we must have misunderstood it, right? Because he didn't actually say that. That's just what we thought he meant. So he's not stupid. We just are dumb in the way we, decoded his message, right? That was the brilliance of it. He fucked up and made some really serious predictions that didn't happen. And now, between everybody realizing now that it's him and the fact that a bunch of shit that he said wasn't true, now conspiracy theorists are looking for some other, messiah to lead them into the crazy future.
So what exactly did he started QAnon? Is that the big deal?
Yeah, QAnon are just
into QAnon. I never really did.
QAnon are just followers of Q. Okay, so a long time ago on Reddit, a guy started posting just these really weird, non-specific, but kind of like spooky posts about shit, right? And people would, and then I guess coincidentally, like some of the shit that he posted, and then some shit would happen like a couple of weeks later or something that you could possibly say, oh, that was what that meant, right? And so like that happened enough times that where people were like, oh, this guy's a really, and his name is Q because he has a Q security clearance, which doesn't actually exist. But to QAnon, it's this super duper top secret level security clearance that like is only given to 5 people in the country, right? Like you're just above all the rest, which again is just like there are levels of clearance, but the top one gives you fucking access to everything. There isn't a need for one above that. That's just stupid. But that's what they decided he was, and it was like, they had all these theories of who it must be, the vice president, the guy that helped get him elected that turned into the Secretary of State, like all these fucking guys that were super close to Trump. And that's how he had all this information about it. And it was this guy and his fucking dad who, honestly, there's nothing wrong with these guys. They're not, above average stupid or anything. They're normal people, right? That just saw an opportunity and Reddit banned him. And so he wanted to go. So with Reddit, you can't be anonymous, right? No, wait, let me think about this. There's something. There was, you
Man,
either.
This is some crazy crap.
Yeah, you can either be anonymous or you can't. There was something on Reddit where like you could be anonymous, but you couldn't do something. And then if you weren't, you could do this other thing as long as you weren't anonymous. And so this guy, not this guy or his dad, he's a little person. And also like a really smart programmer, but just like your average dude, right? He built the first one where you could post anonymously. And that's what it was. You could post anonymously and he didn't censor anything. That's what it was. So on Reddit, you could post anonymously, but they censored people that talked about shit they didn't like, and it wasn't like crazy censorship, but like hate speech, violent videos, sexual acts, that kind of stuff. They would take it off. And so this other kid built a platform where you could be totally anonymous and he did not censor anything. Like the idea was complete and utter free speech. And he didn't do it for QAnon. He did it because him and his friends started a platform hating on female gamers and how they're destroying the gaming industry. And when the shit would get too hateful or violent, Reddit would drop them. And he didn't like that. So he started his own page, site, and didn't censor anything and allowed you to be anonymous. And so Q moved over there so that he didn't have to worry about, because I think they blocked him on Reddit. And so he moved over there and had all the freedom to do it. But the guy didn't have enough, like as soon as Q moved onto his site, he started getting so much traffic he couldn't support it. So he went to the guy that I just showed you and that guy's dad, and they bought his company, flew him over to China or somewhere, and hosted his board for him. And it's at that time, the guy who had been helping him was like, shortly after that, his, the messages just didn't sound like Q anymore. And he pointed it out. And the new admin guy, this guy was like, no, you're crazy. It's Q. I have all the information. I can tell it's him. And then just took it over from there. And from then on, it's been that guy. And when I say from then on, this was like a couple of years ago, which was way before QAnon got really big with the re-election and all the shit that was going on. I mean, he was big, but not like it is now, right? And so the majority of what everybody who is involved in QAnon has been listening to is from this fucking Chinese kid, half American, half Chinese kid, who is just, was just like basically fucking with people. Like he was just like playing God and liking it. Like that's all it came down to. And all these people were following him like he's some fucking extra top secret government official. I mean, these are like a lot of the guys that stormed the fucking
the palace.
Yeah, not the palace, but yes,
the state building or whatever.
We should the Capitol building, right?
Capitol building. There you go.
Yeah. A lot of them were QAnon. The guy with the horns and shit, and there was a bunch of dudes wearing QAnon. The guy's dad, he was there. He didn't storm the Capitol, but he was at the thing while all the shit was going on, and like walked over to the Capitol building with all of them before all the shit went crazy. And all of that shit was based on all the crazy shit. And then Donald Trump not being a complete idiot when he realized how big of a following it was getting, he would like, the two of them were like, I don't think they actually knew each other, but like if Q posted something, Donald Trump would say something in a speech that like, had a phrase or a term from the shit that Q posted so that, QAnon people would recognize it. And then when Donald Trump would say some shit, Q would go and post some shit that referenced some shit that Donald Trump said. And it just like, built and built and built. And then people were questioning of whether or not Donald Trump was Q because of how much, information Q seemed to have that he shouldn't have been able to have, which is all bullshit. Like, I mean, it was just fucking insane, man. And these people like, I mean, there were serious conspiracy theories.
Michael Flynn, I hope everyone kind of remembers that guy, recorded himself in July taking the QAnon oath.
Right. Which he was like the ex-general, right? Is the one you're talking about? Yeah, him and his family. Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of big players in the Republican Party obviously didn't believe any of this shit, but recognized the fucking potential in, hopping on the bandwagon, right, and using it to their advantage, and which, of course, for all the followers who, obviously needed no proof whatsoever, right? We're like, oh my God, the ex-general is talking about it. It must be true, right? And this was some serious shit. Remember, y'all know about Pizzagate?
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah, but
that's QAnon. Yeah. That's QAnon. That all started on QAnon. Okay, let me see if I can get this right. The guy from, who was the one that leaked all the documents?
The one that like had to flee the country?
Not that guy, the other one.
Oh, shit.
Assange?
Yeah. Assange. What was it? What was the website?
Wikipedia?
No,
it was something else. It was like
leak something. WikiLeaks. So WikiLeaks.
I was gonna say OnlyFans.
Yeah, WikiLeaks released a bunch of internal emails from some high up politicians, and in one of the guy's emails, he talked about this pizza place a lot that he liked to eat at, and I think he had it catered at his house or something. I mean, it was about pizza, right? And they were like, what is all this talk about pizza? Look at the symbol of the logo for the pizza guy, doesn't that somewhat look like the symbol that pedophiles use when they're trying to talk about the trading of children? That's what nobody talks about pizza that
Yeah, I
much.
was
He
thinking
must be
about
ordering.
Obama spent like double-digit thousands on a hot dog party.
Right. This was like this
Hot dog was
particular
so
person
delicious,
was
boy.
somebody that worked for Hillary or was associated with the Clintons in one way or another. And obviously he's talking about child trafficking, and they decided that the pizza place was a child trafficking ring, and that in the basement of the pizza place there were all these kids locked up where really high, rich, powerful Democrats could come by and buy these children whenever they wanted to. All of
And
this, mind you,
not true, and that's not true. It was all false, and they're all
yeah.
actually good people, and they actually donate to the community, and they don't do
Yeah,
anything.
they're like real good people. Yeah, no, I'd heard that too.
Oh, the pizza place. Yeah, the pizza place. Yeah. Well, what happened was a guy stormed the place with a M16 and was like, look, just show me the basement and I'll leave. Just show me the basement. And they finally, to let it in peacefully, let him walk around. There's no fucking basement in the building.
There's no basement.
Yeah. And so he's like, there's no basement? And they're like, no. He's like, oh, fuck. All right, shit. And then he surrendered. I mean, but how bad could that have been?
So this is what I've been able to glean from some of the QAnon stuff that's online. Is apparently they believe that a cabal has been in charge of the government for the last 10, 15 years, ever since the Clintons were in office, I believe. And they believe, they believe that the cabal actually drinks children's blood as part of their keep them back. The idea of world elites drinking children's blood is rife with anti-Semitic tropes, an aspect of QAnon that often isn't clear when people are first introduced to it. Many QAnon adherents believe that deep state cabal members aren't just abusing children for satanic rituals. Instead, they claim that the torture and abuse produces a blood-like substance called adrenochrome. Adrenochrome, which they claim cabal members and celebrities drink to stay young.
Yep.
Right.
That's awesome.
Improve their life force.
Awesome.
Yep.
And I think it helps them be better at karate.
And then, of course, when that guy, remember the guy who, remember the guy that was taking advantage of little girls and flying them to his island and shit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, the one that actually had an island.
Jeffrey something. Huh? Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein. And so since he had ties to the Clintons, because of course he had ties to everybody in politics because he was a big player in the Democratic Party, that was proof that the Clintons were involved in sex trafficking and all this stuff.
They do have a picture of him and Hillary, I think.
Oh, sure. I mean, the guy was a big mover in the Democratic Party. He there's pictures with him and everybody, including Trump and Trump. Republican Party members as well. I mean, there's a picture of Trump on his island. Clinton's too, to be fair. But there's no proof that any of them knew what he was doing there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was about to say, you offer me a invitation to an island, I'm probably taking it.
Right, exactly, on a private jet. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and then when he died in prison, right, because he hung himself. But then QAnon, it was he definitely didn't hang himself. That was the Clintons and the cabal taking him out before he could testify about the cabal.
Well, of course it was.
Yeah. And all of it is, of course, insane and ridiculous, but it had a huge following. I mean, there were two members of the House of Representatives that were QAnon in the fucking House of Representatives.
Yeah, they actually got some people elected. Yeah, they're crazy.
That one chick, the crazy one that they took all of her fucking credentials away from, who at points had
carrying a gun into the Capitol building
and actually made threats against the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi.
Well, nobody likes her.
Yeah, This is true. But you normally don't expect your colleagues to threaten to kill you over it, you know? She was crazy. And
Sorry.
and that wasn't all. I mean, she would do
Nobody
crazy
likes
shit.
you either, so.
Yeah, right. So
I'd be careful.
I should not threaten to kill anybody because that could push it over the edge.
That's right.
I shouldn't like follow victims of. She followed the family
Oh, that's right.
of one of the
forgot
kids
about
that died in the mass shooting, claiming that they were all liars and actors, and it was
And that
all
didn't really
bullshit.
happen.
Yeah,
didn't really,
yeah.
And
She got elected.
apologized. She apologized later.
Right before they took all of her shit away from her
Yeah,
to try to
that's
keep him from taking the shit away from her.
That's right.
Oh my
She was
god!
elected from like Georgia or something. How can you really?
Still, I mean, come on, that's crazy, crazy. I mean, it's scary that there's that many people that can go that far out there. We're actually putting them in office. I mean, what the fuck? And there's still one dude, I think, who's still in office right now. It's crazy. And so, okay, of course, all of that is crazy. But then, I mean, the icing on the cake is not only is it bullshit, obviously, but I mean, what is a better? That's how bullshit it is. That's your fearless fucking leader right there.
He looks good in a cowboy hat. Come on now.
The truth of the matter is, y'all should check it out. There's a whole documentary about it on HBO.
It does released.
Yeah, it's been out for a while, but the final episode came out last week.
Oh, okay.
And he doesn't prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, but watch it. I mean, it's obviously that the guy. I mean, there, you know.
Yeah, I've seen that like ache or whatever, where he's all like smiling.
Ironically, QAnons would say, "Where's the proof?" But considering their group of people that have needed no proof for anything ever, seems a little ridiculous to expect it now.
What do you mean there's no basement?
Exactly. And of course, when that happens, it's not like, oh, we must be crazy. It's like, well, they must be keeping them somewhere else. The fact that it was the symbol of this pizza place that got us started on this in the first place, and this pizza place doesn't have anything to do with child trafficking, doesn't make me take a step back and question whether the idea was legitimate in the first place.
Yeah, I read that they believe, or Q put out there that Hillary Clinton was going to be arrested on some date, and then she wasn't arrested.
Right.
So the QAnon believers believe that the actual real Hillary Clinton was arrested and replaced with a clone. That everyone that we see now is actually a clone of Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Yeah, perfectly plausible.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I mean, look,
sheep is a clone of wrench.
I mean, I think even the guy who does
You might do some karate or something, right?
even the guy that does the documentary, you know, at some points will say, like, does that mean it's completely impossible? No, of course not. But, you know, like, that's the great thing about conspiracy theories is when it's not based on any real information. I mean, you can't prove a negative. You know, is it possible? Of course it's possible. Anything's possible. That doesn't mean you should uproot your life. I mean, these are people, like, most of them are completely estranged from their friends and family. Like, they've lost their jobs because people, you know, they go on all these crazy rants and people are like, well, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and they can't accept the fact that people think it's crazy. And it's like,
unlike us, of course.
If you're going to believe some shit that there's no proof of that seems a little crazy, you can't be upset when most people don't, you know, when most people are like, I don't know, you know, like if
it's obvious.
Yeah, exactly. Shit is crazy. And when that shit came out, I mean, these people, it's, you know, everybody's entitled to their opinion. You want to get on the web, talk about it and debate about it. That's fine. But that's not, I mean, these people were causing real life issues, like, you know, running into fucking pizza places with M16s. And I mean, that's just one example. There's tons of examples of shit where real life things happen because of shit people were posting about on QAnon. and without any evidence and without any concern about the repercussions of the shit that they were talking about, and for being upset that about the people that don't believe them, like the people that don't believe them are like, oh, that's crazy. They're the ones that are like who hate everybody, who don't believe this shit and are angry and violent towards the opposite side because we won't go down the rabbit hole with them. I mean, that's crazy. You entitled to your opinion. Maybe you're right. I don't think you are, but maybe you are. And you're entitled to have that opinion, but you get to hate me because I don't go down the rabbit hole with you. You know what I mean? That's just what's going on there, you know?
There was another one that said JFK Jr., the one that died in the plane crash, he didn't really die in the plane crash, that he's now like the administrator in Trump's organization.
Really? That's interesting, considering the family he grew up in.
Yeah. Well, that's why he had to get out with the plane crash.
Right. Well, it's what happened was he didn't die, and then after that, they brainwashed him and then brought him back as a newly found member of the Republican Party. That makes sense.
Oh, the Kennedys have done enough anyways.
Like, look, listen, you can say what you want to say about the Kennedys, but name me a president since Kennedy that had as good of a big picture understanding of the world and how it worked and how to operate in it as Kennedy did. And I don't know of any of them, and I've paid close attention.
Name me a senator not named Kennedy that has as terrible a backstory as
He's had water in it.
That's one.
One Kennedy?
No, there's other Kennedys that have bad backstories. There's one that was a senator that had a bad backstory, and not to
what was his name? It's not Ted Kennedy. Ted Kennedy. There you go. Ted Kennedy.
And to be fair, not that I think it's okay, but
he
had
killed one hooker.
The one he killed,
right? And he didn't. I mean, it was an accident, right? He covered it up.
Accidentally only killed one hooker,
and it wasn't a hooker. It was it was part of his staff, and they were out drinking, and he was probably having an affair with her, and I want to say she was driving, and they went off a bridge. And instead of like doing what you should do, they covered it up, which is fucked up. I mean, it is. It's obviously it's fucked up. It isn't quite the same as like strangling a hooker and covering it up, but it is fucked up. It is fucked up. But there is
trunk right there,
and he should have paid for it. But I do believe it. Like that was. Like, by the time he passed away, that had been like 50 years ago or something. Like, I don't think you should get away with stuff like that. But at the same time, to suggest that he was that same person is probably not accurate either. You know what I mean? Like,
there we go. Now we're defending Bill Clinton again, or Bill Cosby again.
No, that he purposely did and knowingly did and covered it up.
He was younger, and then later on,
and when he was older, and like a week before he got in trouble for it. That week is a long time. A motherfucker could grow a lot in one week. You know what I mean?
Was it really a week? That's terrible.
I don't know. It could be. It might not have been. But
he did kind of do it when he was older, but not. I didn't think it was like within the last.
Oh, I think he was still active. No.
Are you serious?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Damn.
Yeah. Yep. I'm pretty sure that some of them had been recent.
And he kicked Denise off the show because she was like, she was in a movie where she appeared naked.
Yeah. Yeah, he had really high standards for everybody but himself. I mean, maybe if she had not, maybe if it hadn't been a movie, maybe if she had done it without anybody but him knowing it, that would have been okay.
Yeah,
but once the public knew about it,
maybe
not acceptable.
Well, she was drugged at the time, so it was okay.
Right. Right. Oh, Jesus, man. That's so fucked up. But yeah, no, I mean, Ted Kennedy did have, but and there were some other Kennedys that had some issues, but they weren't the political Kennedys. They weren't like, I mean, John and
Ringo and Paul.
Exactly. No, what was his brother's name?
Don't worry
Bobby?
about that.
Bobby, Robert Kennedy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had some sex scandals, but I mean, it wasn't like it was all, you know,
Yeah, I tell you, Marilyn Monroe. What?
right. But they was all consensual shit. Like I don't like if my politicians are doing a good job and they're getting a blowjob, like that's between him and his wife. Like, why? I don't give a shit. Like, that's not my problem. I mean, seriously, if it's not illegal and he's not and nobody's forcing anybody to do some shit that they don't want to do, right?
and it's
Why do we
but-
give a fuck?
Well, we kind of care, and the
Well,
government
no.
should kind
We
of
do care. Why should we care? Is the
Well, that's what I'm
question.
saying.
We obviously do.
If any of our politicians that have any kind of power are doing something wrong, then somebody has control over them because they're doing something wrong and someone else knows about it.
Right.
So
But
someone has some kind of control over them.
But play that out. If we didn't give a shit if presidents were getting blowjobs in the White House, they wouldn't have any power over him because they'd leak the information and we'd say, we don't give a shit. Was it good? Great. Get back to work. And then there wouldn't be any power to have.
Right. And in this fantasy world, that would be perfectly okay.
Well,
But
I'm
now
saying
it's not. What I'm saying, at
Okay.
this point, you're not
Right,
going to
but-
get 100% of the population not to give a shit that our politicians are dipping their pen in different inks.
Agree with you, but my original thing was we shouldn't give a shit. And so if I got my way, your problem wouldn't exist either, is my point. If we stopped caring about shit that wasn't relevant to running an
I'm just saying,
office or doing your job, then
You
it
asked
wouldn't
why do we
matter.
care? That's why we care.
But that is only a problem because we care. So you can't say that the issue is the problem that we're creating by caring. You see what I mean? Like it's a self-completing thing there. It's
Yeah,
only an
you're
issue
absolutely-
because we
you're-
care. We should stop caring and then it wouldn't matter.
And I'm saying that's fantasy.
Okay, agreed. I'm not saying we are going to stop caring. I'm saying it's silly that we do. And it's silly that we make somebody's family issues our issues, especially when it's hard to find people that are really good at this job. And we're getting rid of those people for reasons that don't fucking matter. And then getting shitheads to replace them because they
Yeah.
don't get a blowjob. Oh, well, fuck. Who cares about all the
We're also-
horrible shit they're doing as long
We're
as they don't
also-
get their dick sucked every once in a while?
We're also kind of supposed to be supporting people that are aligned with our beliefs and rights, and
That's not our country. Like there are people in this country who have imposed their moral beliefs on this country, but the founding idea of this country was not that we were supposed to give a shit about stuff like that. It was quite the opposite. The idea was that if it wasn't illegal, then we should kind of let everybody do their fucking thing, right? I mean, that was the founding principle, was like, we're tired of being in places where we're told what to do, who we can pray to, how all these things that we don't agree with, we don't want that. That's why we separated the idea. The idea was supposed to be religion, which is where most of these moral issues come from, and politics weren't supposed to have anything to do with each other.
I don't necessarily think that's true. I think it was so that the government couldn't control what you did, but there's always going to be consequences for what you did.
But you're
and what you
saying,
do.
they should have our moral beliefs. That isn't our moral beliefs. It's part of some of the people's moral beliefs in this country. There's a lot of people that don't have any moral issues with that. So why
Well,
do
I mean,
moral
it
issues?
is true. It is. I mean, now if we have to get down to it, but I mean, like abortion and stuff like that, that's a moral belief and that's a political stance, and you support people that take your political stance.
Right. But when that shit was originally ruled on, the outcome was not based on what the religious sector of our population believed in, and instead was ruled on based on legal arguments, and which is why women have been able to get abortions for so long. Now, we are trying to change that, but when we originally made that decision, the idea was that it didn't matter that some people were morally offended by it. It was made based on a legal argument and whether or not legally they should be refrained from having to do it or not. And the Supreme Court
Right.
said legally they shouldn't.
Right. That's the court, not politics. That's two different branches of the government.
Sure. But it's the part of the government that gets to decide whether we get to do it or not.
But the only reason that the Supreme Court got involved was because the politics tried to make a rule or a law that says you couldn't get an abortion.
And the judicial
I mean,
system said it shouldn't be
right.
that.
Exactly.
Right.
But that's what I'm talking about, politicians and having to align with your morality, I guess, a little bit, and not necessarily morality, but also ideals, just plain ideals. Like, I don't know whether you think the pipeline should be going through ancestral Indian land or not. You know, that's an idea also. That's not necessarily a religious idea.
Right. Sure. You know, yeah, I mean, I think those are more complicated ideas. I guess my argument is saying that for a while now, we have imposed our moral beliefs on people, right? Expected them to live up to an expectation that nobody actually fills, right? In politics or anywhere, right?
Sure,
I mean,
that's true. Absolutely true.
Right. And we constantly are getting rid of people who are doing a really good job based on imposing our moral beliefs. And it hasn't worked out really well for us, is my point. Show me an example of us imposing our morals and getting rid of somebody, not our laws, but our morals, where you're like, and thank God that happened, right? I don't know. I can't come up with any. I could come up with a lot where I'm like, maybe if Clinton hadn't had to deal with him getting head in the fucking White House for as long as he did, what other shit could he have gotten done when he wasn't dealing with that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're tossing some guy right now, aren't they? Or trying to toss some guy for having seen prostitutes or underage women or something?
Yeah, that guy, that's not morals. That guy was flying underage women around the country and having sex with them. That's a legal thing.
That sounds morally reprehensible.
It is morally reprehensible, but it's also illegal.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
We'll just hold the tubes off the back.
If what they were doing was not only morally apprehensible but illegal. I mean, the thing with Clinton that I hate to admit, because I hate the whole idea that we fucked with him about that at all, is that, hey, Dot, you want to hit mute real quick?
Was that? My bad.
I got it. No, it's all good.
No, I'm on a podcast right now. Hold on.
Yeah, I know you are. Do you think? Try to get back. All right. So he lied. I mean, he lied under oath, right? He did break the law.
Yep.
He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have been in a position where he had to, which is where I have a problem with it to begin with, is none of that shit should have ever happened. But he did break the law.
He should have only lied to his wife, not necessarily the Senate.
Exactly. I mean, the truth of the matter is he didn't want to have to deal with the consequences, so he lied about it. He shouldn't have done that. He should have just admitted it, and that should have been the end of it, and it would have probably not caused as many issues for him as it did. But we also shouldn't have put him in the position we were asking him the question in the first place, because again, it wasn't causing him to not do a good job as a president, which should be, if you're not breaking the law, and you're doing a good job, then leave the motherfucker alone and let him do his good job. There was a guy, I want to say it was in Georgia. I can't remember his name, but he caught a bunch of shit. I want to say because he was in college. They found pictures of him in college in blackface,
I remember that guy.
And he was a Democrat, and the Democrats lost their shit and was asking him to quit and telling him he needed to leave. And he was like, fuck you, I'm not leaving. I'm doing a good job. This is ridiculous. I apologize. I made a mistake. I recognize that I made a mistake. But since then, I've been going, he was the black superhero of his state. He was fighting for black rights left and right. And it's I'm not that person anymore. And why wouldn't y'all look at all the shit I've been doing? And black people didn't give a shit. Black people were like, we love this guy. Why are y'all fucking with him? Leave him alone. And they went and voted his ass back. He had an election shortly after that and won. And the black vote, gave him the fucking seat back.
What about the what's his name? The governor of New York right now.
Yeah, that one's tricky, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
He's it's like old men. Old men do that. They kiss people on the cheek.
Yeah,
I don't know about the whole kissing people on the lips. That's a little rough.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to my cousin about this the other day, and she had some good points on it. I don't know that she necessarily thinks, you know what, I'm not going to quote her in her opinion without her being here, but she brought up some important shit. You know, these things are sticky situations, and you got to be careful. Look, if you're in a position of power, it is really hard to have any kind of like relationship, you know, anything unprofessional with somebody that's a subordinate to you, and it not end up causing a problem, even if you aren't doing anything wrong, because it's so easy for you to do something wrong without realizing it, right? You don't know
absolutely.
you don't know what the other person is thinking. You don't know whether, you know, they're saying, no, of course I want to do this, and in their mind they're saying, what else am I going to say? I don't want to lose my job, right? It's a sticky situation. Here, I don't know that he did any of that. Like, you know, if he hugs somebody who doesn't like to be hugged, like, okay, he shouldn't do that. You should tell him not to do that. That's not the same thing as sexual harassment. That's inappropriate, maybe. But we got to, at some point, recognize the fact that there are levels to this shit. And us not recognizing that, I don't think is helpful to anybody. Like the idea that Bill Cosby and somebody who hugs people that doesn't like to get hugged are the same people. I mean, that's just fucking insane. It's not true. He might not have realized that the people didn't like it. It could have been something as easily as, hey, you know, you shouldn't do that, and he would have stopped doing it. We don't know. You know, wasn't there. I don't know what all happened. I gotta say, I don't ever want to blame victims of anything. I hate the idea of like, how credible are they? But I mean, there is some to that, right? I mean, I think more often than not, when somebody comes forward with all the shit that you have to go through to do that, it seems kind of silly that you would do it if it hadn't happened. But at the same time, there are really obnoxious people out there that will do almost anything for 5 minutes worth of fame. And,
absolutely. Absolutely. That's one of the reasons, one of the things I always like. And it's brave. It's brave to come forward with your feelings and talk about your feelings and talk about something that made you feel uncomfortable. That is very, very brave. But I also look at the first and the second and the third person that are the accusers a lot more like they're the braver ones than number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, because sometimes it just seems like, well, let's get on this bandwagon in case there's, you know, some profit to be made or some kind of, you know, endorsement, or I get to be on some TV show, or, you know, Oprah might interview me, you know?
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's part of it. I also think that sometimes maybe what happens is somebody comes out and then, you know, people go back and rethink stuff that they didn't have a problem with. And now all that this shit is coming out, they're like, wait a minute, you know what? Maybe that was really bad. And you know, I'm not saying that that's impossible, that you didn't realize something was inappropriate at the time and now things have changed a little bit and you realize that it is. But I would argue that it would seem to me more often than not that if in the moment you didn't think it was inappropriate, it probably wasn't. You know what I mean?
That's right.
If there was an issue with it, you should have felt that when it happened. And if you didn't realize it until somebody else told you it was a problem, then I don't know that it really is, you know, like that's questionable. And when I listen to, and I'll admit I haven't followed it that closely, but I have seen some interviews with some of the women that are accusing him.
What is his name so that we can actually get it on the air?
Yeah. God, I know it too. I'm so bad with names. Even when I know it, I can't ever think of it.
Which name?
No, it's
Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo.
Cuomo, Chris's brother.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. I'll tell you this: it doesn't help that he acts like a total asshole anytime anybody brings it up. I mean, could you like defend yourself in a worst possible? I mean, like I get that if he didn't do it, going through that has got to be unbelievably frustrating. I mean, I could not imagine that happening. Somebody accusing me of that shit. You know, me being somebody who would never do anything like that and think that is like disgusting behavior. And I mean, like then the idea of everybody thinking I did that. I mean, that's rough. And I can imagine that maybe sometimes there's, a crack in the cement, so to speak, and you come, and you handle things a little bit more abruptly than you probably should. But like, this is like every time he talks, he comes off as an asshole. Like, even though I think that maybe he didn't do anything wrong, I still almost don't want to support him because he's such a douchebag about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He did apologize, like but it's like that non-apology apology. Don't worry. If I happen to have made anybody feel uncomfortable without my knowledge and my wanting to do that, then there's an apology to be had.
and I even kind of understand. Like, I can understand it if I'm the person and I haven't done anything, right? I'm being falsely accused of something. And then going out and apologizing for something I didn't actually do and giving credence to the idea that I did it. Like, I could see it being tough to do that, even if everybody's telling you it's the right thing to do. Like, I don't like I would never do anything like that ever. People could accuse me of doing it, but that didn't mean I did it. And then apologizing for it would be admitting that I did it. And like, that would be rough. Like, to me, losing all my shit might be secondary to the idea that everybody thinks I'm this disgusting person that I'm not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of get it. I mean, it's not the right thing to do. You get, destroyed every time you make a non-apology apology.
What's his name? Man, I love that actor too. We can't watch anything he did too. Unusual Suspects. That guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm telling you, I suck with names.
No,
he was. Yeah, I mean,
he apparently, I don't know if he actually did abuse an underage boy at one of his parties, or if he just, I don't know what he did, honestly, but it made an underage boy actor feel very uncomfortable at one of his parties.
If I remember the story correctly, I don't think anything I don't want to say anything happened. Like, they didn't have sex or anything like that.
That's where I got caught. I got caught. I don't think they had sex, but he may have forced himself, like kissing him and that kind of stuff. I think he was very, the idea was that he pursued him very aggressily. Yeah, he would have had sex if he was able to.
Right. So I mean, the other part of that too is the impression I got was that he didn't want to do it, so he didn't do it. Now, I don't think it would have been okay if they had done it just because the kid wanted to do it because he was a kid, right? But he didn't force the kid to do it. He tried to get the kid to do it, and the kid didn't want to do it. Is my understanding of it.
That's my understanding too.
That is really sick, but it is, again, it's not the same thing as tying somebody
Kevin
down
Spacey.
or drugging them, with by slipping shit in their drink. Yeah, Kevin Spacey. But it's certainly not okay. Yeah, that one's a tough one. Again, he was really way, way younger at the time. I don't know the guy, but it wouldn't be impossible to believe that in 30 years he's become a better person and wouldn't do that shit anymore. That doesn't make what happened okay by any stretch of the imagination. But since it didn't actually happen, I mean, you just wonder, it's like, if he's not that person anymore, he learned from that mistake, and what the horrible thing that could have happened didn't actually happen. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's tough. That one's a tough one. Some of them, just seem.
Well, apparently, we don't know the whole story. So
right.
That was one of the deals, but for real. But apparently, there are 30 different individuals bringing allegations against Kevin Spacey.
Really? I hadn't heard any of that.
I didn't know that either. I thought it was a few, and I knew that one of them was underage.
I just knew about that. Yeah, that one guy, that one kid. And that's the other thing that's important is we never know the whole story. We like to think that we do, but that's the sad truth of it is really only, the people that were there really know what happened. And even then, reality is so different, our perception of what happened, it, can be very different even from two people that were there. You know what I mean? It's all this shit is really, really complicated we really love to like jump on a bandwagon when shit like this happens and take our stances and decide who's an asshole and who isn't and who did wrong and who didn't. But I mean, it's always so much more complicated than that, you know?
Yeah, that's for sure.
It's tough stuff. And I mean, the you know, I hate like the one that really irks me is Aziz.
Oh, really? Him too?
Oh yeah, this was years ago. You didn't hear about it? It wasn't even
No.
like he went on a date with a girl. They didn't work together. Okay. So there was no like, you know, oh, I didn't want to lose my job. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything like that. They were, you know, they didn't work together in any way, shape, or form. They went on a date. They went back to his place. They had some wine. They had sex. She left. She spent the night, went home the next day, and wrote this whole. She was a writer for I think the New York Times. I could be wrong about that. But she wrote this whole thing about like her whole like Me Too thing about
Are you
how
serious?
she didn't say no. She didn't say she didn't want to do it. Like she didn't give any like outward perception that she didn't want it to happen. Her argument was he should have known that she didn't, and he knew, he must have known that she didn't, and he did it anyways. And how fucked up is that? But she didn't actually say no or try to stop him or do anything to stop it from happening.
Let him know that there was something wrong.
Right. But he apparently she didn't want to do it so badly that it should have just been obvious to him, I think is her argument. And yet he did it anyways. And it's like, that bothers me. Like, I get that, sometimes it's tough to stand up for yourself, even when it's something you really don't want to do. I have done shit that I really did not want to do because I was too scared to say no, or it was too awkward or embarrassing to.
Yeah.
And I don't just mean sexual thing. I mean, just in life in general.
Yeah. I've been in the car where everyone was going to go do something that I wasn't really wanting to do. But
at the end of it, I didn't say, this is all your fault because I didn't want to do it and you made me do it anyways. And then say, what do you mean you didn't say anything? Well, you should have known that's what I was thinking. You know what I mean? Like, if I didn't say anything at the time, that's on me. You know what I mean? Like, whatever pressures there was, I have an obligation to make a stand for myself. And if I don't, I have to live with that. You know what I mean?
At least voice it. Yeah, you have to at least voice it.
Right. Do something. If we're talking about sex, if you push the dude away, right? If you say the word no at any time,
at any point,
shake your head, like, give me any indication at all. But we're not minor, men. Don't give me more credit than I have. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't read your mind. It's just if you're having sex with somebody for the first time, it's an awkward situation for the dude too. Like, they're not like in this like perfect, like it's a weird situation for everybody. And then to expect them to be in this like completely perfect state where I can just totally read where you're coming from. I mean, I'm not saying that is impossible. There have been situations where I have just read, oh, this doesn't feel like, I'm going to back, like this doesn't seem that reciprocal for whatever reason. I'm going to slow down a little bit. I'm not saying that is an impossible thing to happen, but to say that if a person isn't capable of sensing that they are like a rapist now, I mean, that's that's a step too far. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe in almost all the shit that is happening, people standing up for themselves. Like, a lot of people are complaining about shit that to me just seems like, yeah, of course, right? Like the idea that having a consensual relationship with somebody that you're subordinate, I mean, that just is a bad idea. Is it impossible? But the likelihood that that's not going to work out well is just so fucking high. You just shouldn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, you just shouldn't do it. And I don't have any problem with that. There are a lot of people that have problems with that. Like, a lot of this makes total sense to me. But the idea now, or at least the idea that she's putting out there, that all men have a responsibility to even sense that it's not consensual and thus stop. I mean, that just seems like, okay, that's a little bit too far. I don't know. I mean, it seems like a lot of people trying to do the right thing could get themselves in a lot of trouble if that's the standard. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
And there are a lot of good guys out there. There are a lot of good men out there that want to do the right thing, that want to support women and all the shit, trying to make change and get things done the right way. Like, if you make it impossible to have anybody from the other side as back you up, you know what I mean? That, I don't think that's not good for your fight either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When in my opinion, when a girl like that goes out and puts in a very popular newspaper that she's been Me Too'd because she consensually had sex, and then the next day woke up feeling like the guy should have recognized that she didn't really want to. I mean, that just, to me, like, it makes it tougher for all the people that are really having an issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
The assholes out there are going to be like, see, this is all just bullshit. Like, use it as an excuse as to why we shouldn't be making any changes. You know what I mean? Like, see what they're expecting of us. These bitches are crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be the response. And that's not an appropriate response either. But, like, you're just making it harder to win your battle by expecting ridiculous nonsense,
No, I hear you. Yeah. It's and I hate to bring it up, but it's the false claims of rape. You make it harder on
Right,
on, on people that are actually going on,
Hey,
Right.
can y'all
That's
hear
what I
me?
hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, got you.
The chick that started the Me Too movement had a sexual allegation against her with a little boy.
Oh no, for real?
Yeah.
It's fucked up. I did not know that.
Yeah. She is I think it was like 11 or 12 or some shit like that. She had inappropriate contact with him. Huh? Oh shit, 3 minutes. Yeah, look into it.
All right. Well, I mean, I'll say I'm glad that shit didn't come out before it stuck. Because, I mean, look, obviously, the Me Too movement
the
has...
reason why they have this whole movement.
Right. And I'm glad that they do. Like, it was an important thing. Like, these things needed to change.
It's absolutely, and it's terrible to believe. It's terrible to say, but I mean, we all knew it was going on. It's not like it was something that wasn't really that. It wasn't like people didn't know it was going on and knew it was wrong. But bringing it to light, bringing it to the front that it was going on, and that it isn't right, was a big step forward for everyone. Because everyone's heard of the casting couch. Everyone knows. There's people that have to do certain things to get on the air, and it's a terrible thing. But everyone knew it was going on. As long as it was going on behind people's backs and no one talked about it, it was okay. Finally, it came into the front, and everyone knows it's going on. Everyone knew it was going on, but now it's in front, and we can actually do something about it. It was a big, giant step forward.
Okay. Right. And that was my point. Like, the Me Too movement, 99% a positive thing. Thank God it happened, and real change needed to happen, and it's obviously still happening. Things aren't fixed yet, but thank God we're moving in that direction. But I think there has obviously been some really crazy shit along the way that you're like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
Gentlemen.
Yo.
Is there?
I can't get my phone wet.
Okay. And
I don't have
that's true. That is true. I've heard that from other people. That is a bad thing.
Is there a reason why your phone would get wet?
Well, yeah.
Okay. Is it something you cannot share with the group?
No, I'll say, excuse me, gentlemen. I'm here right now.
Aha. Okay. I was like, are you getting ready to participate in a wet t-shirt concert or something? Why aren't you telling us what's happening?
Well, I'm gonna get in the water, and I can't get my tube.
Yeah,
Taking my phone with. So
sounds good.
yeah.
All right. I think we're pretty much wrapped. I mean, we're obviously way off the topic. It was QAnon
Yeah, way
was the
off the
topic.
topic.
So,
It's all good,
um,
brother.
yeah, that's
I
cool.
got my
Well,
one free day, so this is
I
what
don't
I'm
think
doing.
you didn't get to watch the movie anyway. So me and Victor
No.
will review
Word.
it. You should watch it. It was really good.
All right,
All right,
gentlemen.
man. Take
I
it
will
easy,
bid
brother.
you adieu.
See you next week.
Yep.
Peace.
Peace.
God damn, about fucking
What was the name of the movie again?
I can't say it. It's like the I want to say Mangerian, but that's not it. Mentarian?
Mauritanian.
Martanian?
Mauritanium.
I don't think that's the way you say it.
That's the way you said it in the movie.
Is it? That's what I was going to say.
Well,
I was going to say the
obviously,
opposite. I was going to say
he
that's
had-
not the way he said it in the movie.
I imagine he said it with an accent, but
No, I don't mean the accent part though. Yeah. Anyways, that is the movie. More importantly, hold on. Well, that's cute. Sorry. I was gonna look at one of those things where it tells you how to say it, but I don't know how to use those things. Like
I just typed in pronunciation.
unless somebody says it, like reading the little, I'm like, what does that mean I'm supposed to do? Anyways, it's a good movie.
Well, that's kind of
Anybody-
cool. I went to Google and did the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Not only will it like tell you how it's like spell it out or phonically or whatever, but it also will allow you to practice how you sort of like listen to you on the microphone, practicing how to say the word, and it gives a little like picture of what your mouth is supposed to look like while you say the word.
By any chance, can you push a button and just hear it say it? Because that would be like
Yeah,
the
well, apparently I don't think I don't for some reason. Well, because I have my headphones on, I don't think it works that way.
Okay, I was gonna say like all that's really
Probably-
cool, but would be much better is it just actually saying it the way you're supposed to say it would be.
No, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. There is a button
Alright.
you can press that
Alright.
says it, but it's not working because I'm using my headphones for some reason.
Okay, all right.
But I'll look it up on my phone. Okay, here we go.
Mauritania.
Did you hear it?
Say it, no, do it louder.
Mauritania.
Mauritania.
Yeah.
All right.
See, I told you. It's the way I said it.
Okay.
Mauritania.
Mauritania. All right.
Mauritania.
Sounds good. So Mauritania. I'd been wanting to watch it. It was really good. Anybody who, yeah. So obviously, I don't think we've ever done this before, but spoiler alert: we're going to be talking about the movie. Anybody who hasn't seen it or hasn't watched our show, this is the part where we talk about the movie in great detail. So if you don't want to hear that before you've seen it, you shouldn't listen. So it's Jodie Foster. And who's that guy? He's been in something else, hasn't he?
The main guy?
Yeah.
No idea.
He looked somewhat familiar. Of course, I watch a lot of shit, so that could just be me.
His name is Tahar Rahim.
Okay. And does it?
I'm getting there. It's a process. Thank you very much. He's been in A Prophet, The Past, but also spelled in French, so I imagine it's a French movie, and Day of the Falcon. He was also in The Serpent, which is a TV miniseries.
Hold on.
The Eddie. Looming Tower.
Some of these sound familiar, but I think I need to like see
Ooh,
like
The Last Panthers. It looks like he was a TV actor quite a bit, and I wish I'd tell you like if it was like a French movie or where it debuted or whatever.
Oh, I found this thing on Netflix that probably everybody but me already knows about, but like up by the top, where it has the title and it has like the rating and all that stuff, that's actually a link you can click on. And if you click on it, this thing opens up and it says like who all the actors are, the director, producer, like all the shit that you see on a lot of the other sites, and that I was always pissed Netflix didn't do, is there. You just have to click on it. And
What
I
do you
think
mean?
open up Netflix on your phone.
Okay. On my phone? Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to do it. I imagine on the TV, I don't know. But then just pick like any movie.
All right, I'm doing it. I'm there.
Okay. Now under the title, you see it says like mine says 99% match, and then it says like the year and the rating and how long it is.
Oh, I'm not supposed to play it? I want to just play the
No,
movie?
don't play. Just go, just click on the thing that takes you to the thing where it says play or download. You know what I'm talking about?
And yeah, it says irregulars, and mine's like a little pop-up though.
Oh, you have a different kind of phone than I do. You don't see like do you see where it says like the year and the rating and how long?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
touch that. Anything
Okay.
pop up?
Yeah, the page, I guess, about it.
Right. It says the actors and the rating, the genre, all that stuff, right?
Trailers and more
Oh.
like this.
No.
Nope.
Look, on mine, so for anybody, at least who has an iPhone, all right, you see that line right there that has like the time, shit, 1 hour, and it has the year and all that shit?
Yeah.
Like, click anywhere on there, that pops up.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see that. I saw that. Yeah.
Okay, and it has like the actors, it has the producer, the genre movie, and it does depend on the movie. Like some has more shit than others do, but like
Sure.
there's the total cast, the rating, the genre.
I want to say it's Voodoo that does it. I really like theirs because theirs can actually, it like brings up little pictures of who's actually in the scene.
Amazon
And
does that.
is that what it is? Maybe it's Amazon.
I
And you
mean,
can like
it
click
might
on
be
there.
more than just Amazon, but on Amazon, while you're watching the movie, if you touch the screen, or if you're watching it on your TV, if you just like click the button, then it like shows pictures of every actor that's in the scene that you're watching. If there's
That's
music
freaking awesome.
playing,
Yeah.
it shows the name of the song that's playing. And then you can click on the actors and it'll bring up their shit and tell you other movies that they're in and all that stuff. I agree. It's really fucking awesome. But what I was wondering is, okay, the one I picked up was an English movie, but I'm with you. I don't know if it's because like once I watched a movie that wasn't in English or like there are some shit. They said he was in The Serpent.
Yeah.
That's another one I'm watching right now.
Oh, nice.
It's a Netflix one about this guy that like killed a bunch of motherfuckers in I don't know, some foreign country. He was like really.
Is it Mauritania?
He was like really prolific though, and never got caught.
Oh, nice.
He would befriend tourists, and then like kill them and rob them.
Oh, I finally watched that. Actually, it's not. I had seen it before, but I showed it to my wife.
It's pretty new. I mean, it just came out like a week ago.
No, not that one.
Oh.
Not that one. Taken, like the original Taken. Man, that's an awesome one.
Right.
It's an awesome movie. But the way they get the girls at the very beginning, they're like, "Oh, let me share a cab with you. Oh, where are you staying?" And oh yeah, we're gonna be right here. I know a great DJ. Maybe I can pick you up. What time? Which apartment are you? And all this stuff. Like, oh man. And then of course the great dumb American women are like, "Oh, I'm staying right here." And,
Yeah, this one's a true story. It's not a. Yeah, it's a mini. It's like a series, and it's about.
So there's no one that like has a certain set of abilities.
Right. Exactly. Right. There's like this one like guy that's like what are the people that like represent each country for the United States? Yeah. And he's not an ambassador. He like works on the ambassador staff, and he's like the
Yeah.
only guy who's trying to do anything about it. And he does not have a special set of skills. I mean, God bless the guy for trying, but it was not going to work out well.
You know, the only thing that I didn't like about this movie. Oh, I'm sorry. You were on a different movie. Were you gonna tell me stuff about this movie?
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure the main guy, it's the same main guy in that series as it is in the one we're supposed to be talking about. All right, real quick, we always end up talking about some other shit, but this one, Jodie Foster, the guy that we just talked about, he's in some stuff. One of these second, I'm gonna find his IMDb. Why is it that IMDb is like so much better at like showing you like all the shit that people have been in than every other site is?
Well, it's because it's like the only site now. I mean, it is the site you go to for any kind of.
Yeah, but I mean, like when you punch in their name, Google has essentially the same thing. It's just not nearly as good. They miss all kinds of crap.
Wikipedia does the same thing.
Wikipedia actually the information on there is not too bad. It's just not like there's no pictures. It's not as easy to like get around it and find the shit that you want to find.
I think, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think Internet Movie Database was originally for actors and for like movies and stuff like that.
It's like where you put all the shit so that people can go and see like what you've done. No, you're right.
Right.
That doesn't. Oh, The Looming Tower. Yeah, I have seen that one. That was good.
You watch all sorts of crap.
I watch everything, man.
So about this movie, I did like it. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was one of those movies that had to be seen because we were doing some atrocious shit. Of course, America's been doing atrocious shit since like conception, but it is another definite view of again what we were doing at the time, and it does speak out about a lot of stuff, and especially, man, the little scroll crap at the end of the movie, that was pretty amazing. It was like something like out of the 300 some odd people that we actually had in prison there, like 7 went to trial, and then like 4 of those 7 were actually like overturned or something. So yeah, it is crazy. I wish it would have sparked more, and it does mention it a little bit. What's his name? John Kozlowski talks about it for like a minute, but I think they should have really touched more on the fact that we were going kind of crazy after 9/11, and we were really worried about a second assault, and that was really the great big push that we were screwing these people over for, was that we wanted this information because we had missed the earlier attack and we were worried a second attack was coming, and that was the real push and one of the reasons that we were doing this terrible stuff. I wish they would have like kind of gone on that a little bit longer, as the frantic nature of that feeling that something terrible was going to the impending doom, and that's one of the reasons that we were doing this terrible stuff. I wish they would have kind of gone into that a little bit more, but
I think obviously, the person who made the movie had, understood the side that they came down on. I would argue they didn't do that because they, didn't want to they didn't want to give an excuse. They didn't want to suggest that there was a good reason for doing it. And I think
it is John Krasinski, right? I thought it was. No, it's not. It's one of my favorite actors. It's not Earl. Oh man, he had a whole TV show. I loved it. Chuck. It was Chuck. You know the TV show Chuck.
Chuck was in this movie?
Yeah, I think Chuck was in this movie. He's the friend. He was the army, the CIA friend that he like goes to a party with to go try and get information.
Really?
Yeah, that was him, wasn't
it? You might be right. I didn't recognize him at all. If it was.
No, Chuck.
I do know Chuck, which is why I'm surprised I didn't recognize him. Man, on IMDb they have like no pictures of the actors in this movie.
Yeah, and it's all like usually they put them in order of like how importance. Know them. Yeah, and it's like in all this like riffraff order after we were giving them so much cred and love. They put
I
this
know.
crap in like some crappy order.
Like Jodie
Hey.
Foster is like 20th
What?
on the page.
If Internet Movie Database wants to send me a T-shirt, I'm more than ready for that.
I don't see Chuck in the list of anybody.
I know. I don't either.
I don't think it was him.
I'm telling you, somebody was him. Lawyer on Plane, Colonel Bill Seidel.
I mean, you would think his. I mean, I'm sure he has a picture in
You'd think, right?
IMDb.
Well, also one of the other things that we can talk about are while we're looking up if Chuck was there.
How about we do? I got a better idea here. Yeah, keep going. I'll do it.
My problem is that it was a complete waste of Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, he was like a non-character in that whole movie.
He didn't have a lot in the
He
movie.
really did not add almost anything to the movie at all. And I don't think it was his fault. Like the scenes that he was in, he did a good job, but there was no, like, he didn't like have very good lines or even a very good role. I think if you're going to get Benedict Cumberbatch in the movie, you really should give him a better role or more,
Yeah. Here, yeah. So under Chuck's IMDb, you will be happy to know that he is in the movie. So you must be right.
See? What's his name?
Neil Buckland.
Neil Buckland. Yeah, I'm on the other website, so let me see if his name is here. Adam Neil. Nope, not quite right. Apparently, whoever put this page together was not being paid because I don't see him on here at all. He's not even mentioned on the Internet Movie Database for this movie, which is so weird because I mean he is a relatively well-known actor.
Yeah, he was in a decent amount of it.
Yeah, he had a decent part. I love Chuck. Chuck's one of my
too. I
favorite.
can't believe I didn't. I was watching it on my phone and I was doing stuff while.
How did you not know that was Chuck?
I'm telling you, I'm surprised.
So I do get him and John Krasinski mixed up a little bit.
The guy from The Office?
Yeah, the guy from The Office.
Yeah, me too. Like all the time.
Like literally, you can like go ahead and like just put either one in there, and I'm like, I'm good.
Yep. I agree, and they're a lot alike too.
Chuck's probably like a poor man's John Krasinski.
Look, he's even at the bottom of the page.
Oh man, he's Jack Ryan.
I love the movie. That was great. Look, I don't really care that. I mean, I do like the idea of both sides of the argument being represented. So I hear what you're saying, but I mean, there isn't a decent argument for why we did what we did. I mean, there really isn't.
Sure, there is.
No, there isn't. There's an excuse for it. There's not a good reason for it.
Yes.
It's not a good excuse.
I think people have good reasons for doing atrocious shit all over the place. You know, I mean, they have reasons why they've done.
I would argue this quite the opposite, though, right? I mean, first of all, the stuff that we did, I would argue created more resistance, not less, right? I mean, people were so upset by the way we behaved that it was easier.
Well, we're talking about reasons, not outcomes.
You said good reasons for doing horrible shit.
What you're talking about is outcomes. Those are terrible outcomes.
Well, then what was the good reason? What did we get? That's my point, is we didn't get anything out of it. We did a bunch of horrible shit, and there was we didn't arrest a bunch of guilty people because of it. We didn't get lots of really important information from it. Quite the opposite. Most of the people we were interrogating didn't have anything to tell us, so they either didn't tell us and we just abused them, or they gave us false information because they wanted us to stop fucking with them, and we had to track down false information, which was a waste of time.
I get that. I'm just saying that those are outcomes, not reasons. I mean, those are like products. You're absolutely right. We got no good products from.
So what was the good reason? I mean, what's the good?
That we were scared shitless, and then we were trying to defend ourselves from a second attack. That's a reason. I mean, it doesn't mean that it doesn't justify what we
Just
did.
saying, I think it's the reason I think it's a bad reason is because one, we did have plenty of information that could have stopped it. We just weren't communicating well, right? But we knew about the people. The different agencies had all the information that we needed to stop it from happening. They just didn't communicate with each other. So we could have just.
You're right. That's absolutely true, and that's the first attack. What we were talking about is that there was a possibility of a second attack that we were
right. So I'm saying instead
and there was
of
not very much information about it because it never really happened and it wasn't really planned. We were trying to stop something that wasn't actually in the works.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is if that's your goal, right, and you're looking at the first incident and you realize, oh, we could have actually stopped this one if we'd done a better job of communicating with each other, then do that. Don't do this. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying is like all the decisions that we made seem like poor decisions that didn't get us any outcome because
oh yeah, well not almost no good decisions are made out of fear.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole idea. That's what fear does to you. That whole fight or flight deal response is they're what are they called? Like when you make a decision, like a split-second decision, they're usually poor decisions.
Yeah. But I hear what you're saying, but it was decisions made out of fear. I don't know that the fight or flight thing, because it wasn't, we were only afraid that was imminent, right? Like
imminent, yeah.
Fight or flight is like when that shit is right in your face and you have to decide right then what to do. But this wasn't that. I mean, we didn't have any reason to believe
we thought
that
it was.
We decided it was. We didn't have any reason to believe
that's true.
it was.
I guess so. We decided it was, and we decided it was. Well, we got hit in the mouth once. I mean, we were expecting another blow.
It could happen again. I would argue that the people that actually made these decisions, I don't think we're operating out of fear. I think they were using our fear to get us to approve the really bad things that they wanted to do before this shit happened anyways. And
you think they were just being evil?
Yes.
I don't think so.
A lot of the people, not
I guess
Bush.
I wouldn't like to believe so. I would not like to believe so. I guess rather than I don't think so.
Bush. I think Bush got dragged along by the hand of people that he trusted.
You mean good old Rumsfeld didn't have our best interest in
Cheney?
Yeah, and Cheney.
Absolutely. Yeah,
they didn't have our best interest in.
I don't think so. I think they used this as a reason to do shit that they'd been wanting to do for a long time, anyways, and got us to do things we wouldn't otherwise do. And I think there's evidence of that. I mean, I've seen documentaries. Yeah, I mean, the laws that they, got enacted to give themselves more power than they had ever had before. Yeah. The fact that we went to Iraq, which had nothing to do with it, but was something that, administrations that they had been involved in with prior had wanted to do for a long time, right? And now they had an excuse to do that. It's just, the people that you're supposed to count on to say, look, I know we're all scared, but the truth is we don't have control over everything, like that's life. It sucks. It's the way it is, but we have beliefs.
You just said 9/11 and that's life.
It is. I mean, it sucks. It's a shitty part of life, but things like that happen. Luckily here at least.
I was about to say the first time it happened to America.
I mean, there's Pearl Harbor. I think more people die
in a war during Pearl Harbor.
No, we weren't. That started a war. We weren't at war when it happened.
Well, maybe you're right.
I am right. That's what started the war. That's what got us involved.
It's not what started the war. It's what got us involved.
It's what got us involved. Yeah, we were not at war when it happened. Yeah. You could argue the same thing here. I mean, they were at war with us. We weren't at war with them, so to speak. But the fact of the matter is, I mean, we like to think that we have all this control over what happens. We really don't. We have some outcome. We have some influence on the outcome of things. We don't have control over what happens. And what happened when this happened is that we gave up, all these rights. We gave up all these beliefs. We slid in the wrong direction. as far as like our rights to privacy, religious right. I mean, all these things that got fucking hijacked and and thrown away, all for an illusion of something that was never there to begin with. I mean, and again, like it wasn't like we want to surveil you. Like, I mean, they did horrible things to people that had nothing to do with it. A lot of the people that were taken prisoner, we were offering more money than people make in a lifetime in a country for
That was the-
for them to turn over people that were involved, and so they did. They just like pointed at people and were like, "That motherfucker right there, pay me," and we did. We paid them without even verifying that that they had anything to do with it. I mean, it was not only atrocious. If there's any argument for based on what happened to us, we had the right to dissolve all of our beliefs in civil liberty and the right to defend yourself and to confront your accuser and all this shit that we just threw out the fucking window to go after these guys. It would have been nice if it was because it was the actual people. It wouldn't have been right? But at least that's something. We threw all those rights out to fucking bring innocent people in and torture them. It's fucking insane. The whole thing
actually
is
surprised me.
fucking,
Like when we were watching the movie, is that, and Amanda had mentioned the same thing. Is that like, how did we get this guy from a different country? We don't have any like law or whatever in that country. It's and I was like, no, they were actually brought in by their own government and then handed right over to the U.S. government.
Well, and when we are at war, which by the time we captured most of these guys, we were, you do have the right to detain enemy combatants, but then you have to follow the rules of the Geneva Convention when you do that, and we decided not to do that either. Which we had a huge part in putting in place in the first place, because when you capture us, it's really important that you treat us with respect and dignity. When we capture people, what's really important is that we get the information out of them, and who gives a shit what we do to them? I mean, it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's insane. They had no way. And then on top of all of that, which is what this movie was about, is that we didn't even give them the ability to prove that they weren't the guys we said they were. Why would that?
We didn't even and that was
tell
the
them
big
what
deal.
they did.
Yeah, tell them what they did. Yeah, we didn't even like let them know what they were being accused of. We didn't bring accusations towards them.
Right. Yeah. Right. Which is not an unimportant part of it, because even on top of the fact that we didn't give them the right to defend themselves, even if we had, they wouldn't have known what they were defending themselves against. Even right up until even when this happened, and they said that these people did deserve due process. Even then, it was a pain in the ass for them to get the information. So they were just supposed to show up at court and wait for them to say, this is what he's accused of and here's all the evidence. Now try to argue against it, right? I'm like, that's fucking possible.
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous.
What really got me was that even after he won his case, he still spent another 7 years in custody.
Right.
Crazy honestly.
Right. Which is crazy.
Boy, did they pick the wrong guy too. Because even afterwards, he's all like, I don't hold them accountable. I think, I love America. Y'all guys are great.
Right. It would have been a little bit easier if he'd have been like, we're friends right now, but if I see you on the battlefield tomorrow, I'm killing you. That, all right, that guy was kind of an asshole.
I would kind of hold a grudge.
Hell yeah.
Me for 14 years, I'd be like, you motherfuckers.
But and that's what I'm saying. A lot of them did.
Marvin Gaye and shit.
Right. A lot of them did, I'm sure. A lot of them went back to their country and used what we did to them to convince other people to hate us and fight against us, and somewhat rightfully so. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
There's not a good argument for the fact that he shouldn't have gone back and said, look at all the fucked up shit that they did. It was really fucked up.
It wasn't.
And that was kind of
the Beatles, wasn't it? Crap, I can't remember who he was singing at the end of the movie.
No, it was not
it Bob Marley?
Beatles.
It's either Bob Marley or the Beatles.
It's Bob Dylan. Yeah.
Oh crap, you're right. All right.
Yeah.
Twice I've said that.
I mean, it was just all kinds of fucked up, and then I mean, I love Obama. I always have, but he didn't. I mean, he came into office and left it there for a really long time. Even though he campaigned on the idea that he was going to close it down. I mean, it was just like, they, of course, preyed on our fears. We let these guys go. They're going to go back and play more shit. There's plenty of people over there planning shit anyways. These 70 something, 30 something people who are like a drop in the fucking bucket, or to be, more poetic, a fucking, a piece of sand on the, in the desert. I mean, like, it's ridiculous. The whole thing was just, it wasn't going to stop anything. And it made us look horrible because we were being horrible. Like, we lost all kinds of clout around the planet, not just in that country. We were the people that believed in civil liberties and didn't do these kinds of things. And then we were, all because we were a little bit scared. And we've done shit like this in the past, but I would argue this was way worse than any of the shit we've done before. At least not like of any, I mean, obviously slavery's worse, but I mean like the shit that we did during wartime and stuff when we were scared. We've done some.
I don't know, because we did some pretty bad shit to the Asian community.
We have.
We're actually currently doing some pretty bad shit to the Asian community.
Yes. Not well. That's not our government doing
That's
it,
true.
I would
That's not our
argue,
government.
which is
Honestly,
a big
right now it's not our
difference.
government. But
And
during World War II, we did some
the internment
governmental-
camps, right?
Yeah,
But people
those were
weren't
bad.
tortured in the internment camps. They were,
Well, they sure as hell were.
no,
For
they weren't.
information, I think so.
I
I totally believe so, because yes, there were just straight up putting all Asians into internment camps. But
right.
there also were people that were actually questioned for information, and I don't think they were questioned politely.
I've never heard that. That isn't to say that's just something. I mean, I don't know everything, so maybe that's possible, but I'd never heard that before.
All right.
I remember us locking them up. I'm sure we interrogated people that we thought were like involved in the cause and whatnot, but I don't remember torture. I kind of distinctly remember this being the first time that we decided, that we were going to do that. Like, we'd never done that before. We were always the country that was against that. And I mean, it's just like, it's stupid on so many levels. Like, we also know it doesn't work. Like, it never has been a very successful way of getting information from somebody. They will essentially tell you whatever they have to.
If you're looking for something good to have come out of this whole thing, is that we've solidified that torture is a bad extraction device for information.
Have we stopped doing it? I wasn't aware that. I mean, I think we still have places that we take people and torture them. That's not in the United States.
I imagine so, but not as
openly.
Yeah, openly. And they did. They passed or repassed the No Torture Act, and that waterboarding it has been taken off as our questioning techniques. Yeah.
I still think. I don't know.
And actually, which was crazy, that was a crazy fucking scene too, was the sexual whatever, sexual humiliation. Man, that was some nonsense.
Yeah.
But they've actually taken that out of techniques that we can use now because of this terrible thing that we did.
Yeah, I mean, there were people that died from the shit that we were doing that was not considered torture.
Yeah, his buddy, his buddy, the French guy. Yeah, he didn't make it home.
Right. Yeah. That is really fucked up. And I mean, it didn't make any fucking sense. And obviously the people that were actually tortured, but then the people that were like forced to do it, when you're a soldier, you do what you're told to fucking do. And I mean, how many of those people are fucked up forever now because of it being, I mean,
well, that's what it kind of does. It has that. And I didn't really understand the scene, because I thought it was another technique that was used on him. But I really believe that girl who did all that terrible crap, the soldier, when she's like, this has to end, and she's like literally like breaking down and crying, I think that was her really breaking down about the actions and the things that she was doing.
Right.
Because even when like they come and take him out, she's like, you can't just come into this is my not issue, or it's whatever, it's her class or her time or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that there were some people that, you know, did it, didn't have as much issues with it because they thought that it made sense. Obviously, a lot of people in our country didn't have a problem with it. Um, Again, I mean, my argument would still be that even if it had worked, it wouldn't have been worth it. I mean, we're not gonna stop everything. Like that is an impossible bar to set, right? Bad
Yeah.
shit is going to happen, and the sooner the masses just accept that, the sooner we're going to stop doing shit like this to accomplish something we can't fucking accomplish. I'm not saying it's not tragic. I'm not saying I don't want it to happen. I'm not saying that we shouldn't take any reasonable measure to keep it from happening. And we have lots of ways of doing that, which is why there hasn't been that since. That's not, it's not like the organizations that did that shit to us didn't want to keep doing it, right? We did other things. We used intel, and we used undercover assets, and we used technology and all these things to keep shit from happening. We didn't have to give up our morals and who we are as a people to do it. And it's fucking insane that to think, the quote, and I always say it wrong, but like any society that gives up their freedoms for a little bit of security deserves neither security nor freedoms. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not the quote.
Yeah.
I know I miss, but it's the point of the quote, and it's true.
Sure.
Like, it's easy to say we don't torture people when there isn't a reason to torture people. Anybody can do that. Like, you have to not do it when you want the information, and then you have to say, nope, this is not something that we do. You know what I mean? If you can't do it, then it doesn't fucking matter when you say it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just bullshit otherwise, And the whole ticking time bomb thing, look, the idea that we need to pass a law to make torture legal to deal with a situation where there's a nuclear bomb that's about to go off, the people involved in that situation will do whatever they need to do to keep that from happening. We don't need to pass blanket laws to make sure that they do. If there's a guy on the field that thinks like ripping somebody's fingernail out is going to make them tell them where a bomb that's going to go off in 10 minutes is, they're just going to do that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's just, that's like where you have to really look at, like, in this one particular moment with this one guy in this one extremely unlikely situation that we've never actually faced before, which is the argument that we use for all the shit that we did, despite the fact that it never actually happened, right? I mean, we don't, let those people deal with that shit. You know what I mean? They'll figure out what they need to do, and they'll get the shit done. If, they'll do what they need to do to keep that shit from happening. We know that's true. And if they don't, a real tragic thing will happen. Real tragic things happen every day, all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
That's the sad truth of it. And what we really can't handle is that they're happening to us instead of somebody else, right? But that person feels the same fucking way when it's happening to them. You know what I mean? We don't deserve to not deal with that shit any more than everybody else does. It's just part of life. Like, we all go through tragic shit. We all die. Right? We don't know how it's going to happen, and that's never going to change. That's life. It's part of what makes it beautiful,
We've actually been like removed from a lot of that stuff because it happens in the Middle East, and we don't have to deal with that. It's another continent, and so when it spilled over into ours, it was
keep taking away our civil liberties and what we believe in, and that's going to change quickly. Because I mean, that's the difference of why it happens over there and not here. We don't need to do those things because we live in this great society that lets us be us and do, for the most part, the shit that we want to do, and leaves us alone, right? Well, we're giving all those rights up, right? All the all the shit that we're giving up to keep that from happening is literally what's going to make it fucking happen if we're not careful,
Well, that's what I'm always saying, is that yes, every right that we give up, we get closer to not having rights, period. So I'm usually against a lot of actions that we believe are justified because this terrible person is in power now or something, or this terrible thing is going on right now that we need to limit the amount of votes we need to pass laws. We need to do that kind of weird stuff so that, oh yes, we can fight the guy now, but when it's you're basically giving your opponents more weapons to use later. I mean, we have to be very careful what we choose to pass as laws in the thought of our security, our protection, or from radical people right now, because our country, everyone gets the same weapons. You know, that's the whole idea, is that like you pass one law to help you to defeat somebody, well, later on your enemy is going to have that weapon too. So I mean, we need to try not to mess with as many rights as we have. We need to hold on to the rights that we have, and be against the eroding of our rights in the pursuit of safety or even comfortability, because that's what really is. No one wants to get off the damn couch anymore, and they're willing to, sell away their rights so that they don't have to.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely lazier than we used to be. I mean, like people were up in arms about the idea of having to wear a mask as if that's like some real like suffering or sacrifice to put a fucking mask on to keep people from getting sick and dying. I mean, like during wars, we've donated our gold, like we've stood in fucking lines for food so that there was enough food for our soldiers to fucking eat. People who, right or wrong at the time, were people who stayed home and took care of a house and raised kids, went and worked in factories to make sure that we had the equipment to support the War Act. I mean, people bought bonds, like people have made real sacrifices for this country. And we won't give up our gas guzzling cars. We won't wear masks. We will, you tell us that we can't do anything because it's going to better society. And all we care about is that we're asked not to do something that, I mean, you got to wonder if the people that are upset even actually give a shit about the thing. And it's not just this idea that you're telling me I can't do something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, during times of crisis, we ask people to sacrifice. What the fuck is wrong with that? Like, we're in a crisis. That's what you do in a crisis. Like, you make sacrifices for the better good. Like, getting vaccinated, is it a little bit scary? Yeah, it's scary. I was, I'm a very adamant, supporter of the fact that we all have to get vaccinated. I was, that doesn't change the fact that it's a relatively new vaccine that they're sticking in my arm. It's a little scary. Yeah,
they've only been testing for like 3 to 6 months or something.
Right. Right. But the other option is catastrophic, right? I mean, that's the only. There's not a choice. Like, you got to sometimes you got to do things that are a little scary. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do. That's why it's called a sacrifice. If it was easy, it wouldn't be called a sacrifice. I mean, that it's the whole thing. We've turned into lazy little bitches. And I've been saying, I have this new theory, like, people in the pursuit of something that they really believe in are fucking amazing. They accomplish all kinds of amazing things. They make sacrifices. They fight for what they want. When they get that thing that they've been trying to get forever, and then they've had it for a while, they turn into horrible fucking people. The people at the top of the hill are shitheads that don't give a fuck about anything except keeping this thing that they work so hard to get to, and they forget about all of the who they were and what they did to get it in the first place.
Well, I mean, come on, we all played that game in elementary school, King of the Hill. Well, when you played King of the Hill, when you were trying to get to the top of the hill, you weren't fighting the other people that were also trying to get to the top of the hill. You sometimes even worked with them to try and get someone else on the top of the hill. But when you were on the top of the hill, you fought everyone, and you kept everyone off the hill. You didn't, unless there was a partnership. And even if there was a partnership, you fought everyone else. You got 2 people on top of the hill, and you fought everyone else. I mean, that's the whole idea of the game.
It's just, I think, I don't know. I think we need to start. I mean, you just look through history, every, you have every country, that exists at one point, maybe not all of them, but most of the big superpowers, right, were like the gleaming, shiny thing at the top of the hill at one point,
The
and then
examples of society.
right, and then they sat there for a while and they got lazy and selfish and didn't know what it was like to sacrifice as much anymore. And then when they needed to make hard decisions again, they didn't do it, and now they're not the fucking shiny thing at the top of the hill anymore. Something else comes along that's fighting again and struggling and is willing to make sacrifices. I mean, like the World War II, I mean, think about that. Like, the reason we were successful in World War II is because our soldiers, I mean, do you know the shit they went through during World War II? I mean, like, the ones fighting in the South Pacific, like, they were dealing with like malaria and like, living in fucking jungles where it was raining and they're like sleeping in
I
the
watched Captain
fucking
America.
mud and fucking watch Band of Brothers if you want to get an
Oh my
idea of the
gosh,
shit
yeah,
people
I've heard
went
about
through
that.
during World War II. I mean, it was fucking horrific, and they did it
Yeah.
because they believed in what they were fighting for. That's why they did it. I mean, that like ultimate test of human ability. I mean, it's fucking insane. I have nothing but respect for soldiers of any generation, but our soldiers don't go through that now. I mean, they don't. Like, they're well fed, they're well clothed. Like, we send them over, they have like fucking temporary housing and like TVs
Yeah.
and shit.
Don't get too crazy. They also go out in Humvees covered with
I mean, they put up with all kinds.
plyboard.
Yes, they put up with all kinds of fucked up shit, way more shit than any of us back. I mean, again, nothing but respect. It's a hard fucking job in any generation you're putting your life in. I mean, of course, absolutely. But I mean, it gets better with, it's gotten way better over time compared to what
Absolutely.
we used to
Absolutely.
have to deal with. And I mean, like, when we go to war, 25 people die, and it's a tragedy when anybody dies. I mean, I hate that we even have to point that out, because of course it is. Nobody needs to point that out. But I
Yeah.
mean, in Vietnam or World War II, like, it would be 2,500 people that died in a day, like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it was insane. It was insane. The death count was insane in those wars, and we put up with it because we believed in what they were there fighting for. And now, even if we do believe in what they're fighting for, the second somebody gets hurt, it's like, oh shit, should we even be there? Like, what are we doing there? You know what I mean? It's like, you go to war, people get hurt. Like, that's a pretense of war. Like, people are shooting at each other and blowing each other up. Like, that's what
Do you have any
happens in a
idea
fucking war.
do you have any idea if we're actually at war at the moment? That's
I
where
mean,
I always get like kind of lost. It's like, are we actually declared war on anybody? Or are we just fighting people?
We're out of
for fun?
Afghanistan, right? We left Afghanistan. We still have, when I say I left, I mean, I'm sure there's still like support troops left there doing shit, but like, I don't think we're actively at war with Afghanistan anymore. I know there's still troops in Iraq. I mean, we're not at war with Iraq. Iraq barely even exists. I mean, the place is there, but I mean, is there even an Iraqi government anymore? Like, we kind of destroyed that shit. It seems like it's always like 4 or 5 groups of people that think they should be the one in charge that are fighting each other now. We really fucked that place up good. I mean, look, I'm about to say Osama bin Laden. Not Osama bin Laden.
Whoever was in charge over there in Iraq, Hussein.
Hussein, Saddam Hussein. I mean, look,
apparently we are still at war with Afghan. How do you say it?
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan. There you go. Yeah.
I thought
we have been. Apparently not.
Wow.
Not according to Wikipedia. And we're still in there. It's the Afghan war for 19.5 years. 19 years and 6 months. Longer than any other war that we've ever been in.
That I don't necessarily have as big of a problem with, because I mean, I think one of the big mistakes we always made was, we'd win and then we would just
out too early. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, leave and cause a bit. I mean, World War II probably wouldn't happen if we had done a better job after World War I. You know what I mean? Like, Germany was utterly fucking destroyed and pissed off, and Hitler used
Oh.
that shit out of that to fucking.
Well, yeah, we also like what is it? We put some ridiculous sanctions on them.
Yeah.
We put ridiculous, like they owed everyone that won the war a shitload of money. Like it was like, and of course they took back all the properties that they had won, but not only that, they took back even more that was the original property of Germany.
Well, and when we were fighting Russia, you know, we armed the people, that ended up turning into a fucking Al Qaeda.
Really?
Yeah, we.
No,
like,
I'm sorry. That was
Okay.
sarcastic because we've
Okay.
done that quite a few times.
Well, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, fighting a group that wants to help you fight your enemy is a smart way to fight a war. But then what happened was when Russia stopped invading Afghanistan, we just were like, peace, we're out. And then they got fucked.
Yeah.
We didn't
I think we
put
also
in an
supplied-
infrastructure or build schools or hospitals or do all the shit to help them become like a legitimate, full functioning country. And so chaos ensued, and the Taliban took over power. And then, we all know the rest of that fucking story. And now
I think we also supplied the guys that took over Cuba originally.
We did.
Yeah. So
we sold crack to do it. Seriously, that's that's
it's the American way.
We were importing cocaine and selling it in California. I think maybe Miami. I know for sure in California, and that was right when crack cocaine came out, and they were funneling cocaine in and using the profits to buy weapons for the Tistas. I can't think of the name, but because they were fighting communists in Cuba.
Yep.
Yeah. And that one, I don't know. I think they ended up being who supported Fidel Castro, and then that's how he ended up taking over the country.
They kind of switched up. They switched up when they got in power.
Yeah, well, I mean, they took over, killed off all the people that were in charge of Cuba at the time, threw out all the gangsters.
Which was actually kind of, I mean, okay, granted, no, maybe not the gangsters, I understand, but I mean, we were really shitting on Cuba at the time too. I mean, we basically were buying up all the property, buying up anything that was worth anything in Cuba, and then not giving anything to like the actual people of Cuba. And we were paying all the Cuban governments from U.S. companies. So
well,
we were crapping on Cuba.
The politicians in Cuba before Castro took over were like, they were pretty shitty.
Yeah, well, that's what they were. They were U.S. pawns. I mean, that's just basically what they were.
Yeah, maybe so.
That's why the mafia was down there, or the U.S. mafias were down there, was because they could own ridiculous amounts of property and
and there was
anything down there.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of American tourism in Cuba and not a lot of rules and regulations down there, so they could come in and kind of do whatever they wanted to do, and like the Italian mobsters that were wanted in the United States could just live in Cuba and not have to worry about it, which was like a hot skip away from the United States. So yeah, I mean, it worked out really well for them. I mean, the Cuba thing didn't work out all that bad for us. It worked out really bad for Cuba. I mean, that's
what I'm saying. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We were dumping on Cuba. That's what.
And then the embargo. I mean, when Castro took over, that's when they issued the embargo, and then Cuba turned into a fucking time capsule from the 1960s.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
There's no cars. Well, I don't know if it's changed now, but forever. Like the newest car in Cuba was 1968 or some shit. Yeah, refrigerators and radios and everything. I mean, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And that shit was weird, but I mean, it didn't really come back to bite us in the ass like it has in other places. I mean, in this movie, remember, his defense was that he was fighting with us, with Al Qaeda, not against us, and that's because they were fighting with us for a long time. He could have very well was probably the truth. He was with them, and then when they became crazy, he separated from that. Could very easily have happened.
And it is kind of funny about all the circumstance they got on him. It was like what was it actually from Osama bin Laden's phone?
Yeah, his
dude
cousin
called or
called him from. Yeah. It's fucking crazy, and it does seem like really, like that does seem like a big coincidence. But what was that? I was watching. Oh, I was watching. Have you seen that John Wayne Gacy shit on NBC's new app? Is what I saw it on. It's Peacock.
He was he a mass murderer, John Wayne Gacy?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He was. Yeah. He's.
Well, I want to make sure I had the right guy.
No. Yeah, no. That's right. He. Nobody in the history of the United States has been convicted for killing more people than he has.
Really?
I think there probably is people that have. Often when we, charge serial killers, we don't necessarily charge them, one, with all the murders that we know about, but obviously we probably don't know about them all, right?
Because that Night Stalker guy killed quite a few.
Right, but that's the thing is often they pick the cases that they have the most evidence, right?
Yeah.
And then if they can get you life in prison or death with 4 cases, there's no reason to prosecute for the rest of them, right?
Sure,
It's just
sure.
I mean, I wouldn't say there's no reason. Obviously, the families and shit would appreciate it, but like it closes the book on you, and most states feel like and it is. I mean, you can have a different opinion, but they spend a lot of money prosecuting people. It's not a cheap
Absolutely,
thing to do.
yeah.
And so it's like, why spend $2 million prosecuting him in 4 other states when he's
He
fucking
was called the Killer
done?
Clown. That's a rough name to come from.
It's because he dressed up as he would do kids parties, like he dressed up as a clown.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch this.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't heard of him. He's a pretty infamous one.
Yes, I have heard of him. Like I know like I said, I know he was a serial killer. I just didn't actually
He killed young men, and he says he wasn't gay. He was bisexual, and he would trick men. I think it was like, well, and there's some controversy in that. The youngest victim that they've charged him with was 12, but when they found. So there's a lot of shit that's extra crazy about him. The clown thing is really crazy. He buried the majority of his victims, or at least the majority of the ones that we know about, in the crawl space under his house, which is sick and unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that other people like his mom lived in that house with him, his wife lived in that house with him, and like there was 27 bodies buried under the house. He was found guilty for 33 murders. They have the bodies of all 33 of like the other 5, I guess 6. There was some buried like in his yard that wasn't under his house, and then there was like 3 or 4 that he dumped in a river that they found. Yeah, and the whole thing is fucking crazy. But the mom of the 12-year-old doesn't believe it's her son, and that's part of the crazy shit too. Is because this was like in the 70s. The person that he killed that ended it for him. They arrested him for that murder in April of 1979, which means I'm 42 years old. So this was 42 years ago, because it was fucking 9 days before my birthday when they arrested him for that murder. So it was a long time ago. And so, I mean, 33 people.
33 murders. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, it wasn't like all the ones that they found were from like 6 months. I mean, this was over a long period of time. And so a lot of bodies. The only way
he beat Ramirez by another 15 or 20.
Right. I mean, like that's just how
Ramirez
many
was 15
that they actually convicted him of. Yeah. Same thing with like Bundy. I mean, there were tons of murders that are attributed to. It's not even like we don't know, like the ones they know he did that they didn't prosecute him for, because it would have been too hard to actually get a conviction, even though they knew he did it. I mean, that happens a lot. So, I mean, any of these guys could have killed more than 33 people. Probably most of them, a lot of them did. But yeah, he's been convicted for more. He said, and he's interesting. I mean, they always are interesting. He's like, he confessed 6 times when they arrested him,
Mhm.
and then until the day he died, argued that he didn't do it. So he didn't do the murders that he confessed to of the bodies that were found underneath his own fucking house. Yeah, and so different people have said different shit. He said, like, somebody asked him if that was everybody. He said 45 sounds like a good number.
Oh,
But he
shit.
never say he actually did that. I mean, like, and the thing about it too is like, he loves attention and shit. You know what I mean? And so, like, a lot of it, I assuming, is just like, he wants people to, he wanted to continue to be a story, and he's an interesting dude though. Like, they think there's a really good chance he was killing way before the people they found in his house, but he's like, just as they often are, like, extremely charismatic, and like, everybody loves him, like, until like this switch flips in his head, and then it's like, well, that's weird, like, there's something wrong with that guy. But until then, everybody loved the guy. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just fucking crazy. It's worth watching. But what I was gonna say is, and I don't remember what it was that we were talking about.
Apparently he got topped as far as number of victims, and I've never even really heard about this guy, Samuel Little.
Is that the guy from Compton?
I have no idea, honestly. And he apparently killed at least 93 people.
Yeah, it was the
Possible victims and proven victims. Okay, so
yeah.
possible victims is 93, proven victims is 60. And then Gary Ridgway, which is
This guy, the guy you're talking about, was the dude that lived in Compton that was killing people, like killing female prostitutes and shit. Yeah, they think he killed a ton of fucking people. And that's what I'm saying. Is like, with all these guys, even with John Wayne Gacy, like I said, like, he lived in other states before this, and unless for some reason he just started when he moved there, like, there's a really good chance he was killing where he lived before that. There's this whole thing about how the cops want people to go and dig up areas in the apartment building that his mom lived in before they moved into the house, because there's eyewitness accounts of all kinds of crazy shit where he was like digging in the middle of the night, and like, like, he dig these huge giant trenches, and then, like, one day the trenches are empty, and then in the morning they're full, which it's like, who does that in the middle of the night? And the only thing that's there are these little bushes that, like, you could have dug these tiny holes to plant, and instead he dug these like 2 foot wide, 6 foot deep, like 10 foot long trenches. Yeah. And so they're like, something's going on there, but they can't get anybody to dig it up because there's not enough evidence, which they're all pissed off about. But it's like, I don't know. It's like, all this shit costs money and manpower and shit, and you can't send cops on just chases. I mean, the guy traveled a lot. He lived in lots of states. I mean, technically, I imagine there's tons of places that possibly could have dead people in them. You know what I mean? But you got to have some real evidence to back up the, digging people's property up and spending the money and all the time to do that shit. And they're not going to fucking do that. The same thing with the kid's mom. So what I was going to say is, because it happened in the 70s, they didn't have like DNA and shit. So based on the degree of decomp, they had to rely on dental records to identify the bodies. It was the only method that they had to do it. And so that's how they identified this kid. And the mom kept saying that she didn't believe it. And it was weird, right? Because they first identified a bunch of the bodies. They told her he wasn't one. And that went on for years and years and years and years. During the trial, and then after the trial, and she kept like coming in and saying, you know, why aren't y'all looking for my kid? What's going on? Da, da, da. And so then finally they were like, you know, he's one of John Wayne Gacy's victims. And she's like, y'all told me he wasn't. And they were like, yeah, we looked at the evidence again, and he was, you know.
Damn.
And so her argument is that, you know, they just said that, you know, because there was 8 victims that were never identified. And well, no, I take that back. Now it's 6. Arguably 7, depending on this kid or not, right? And so you know, her argument is like, why, you know, why are you saying, why were you saying no? And that, you know, we re-looked at the evidence. Well, then DNA came out, and so the mom went and had the body excavated to do a DNA test.
Damn. This is
yeah.
her son?
It's her son. And so what was fucked up is you know, her kid had lost a tooth, and in the coroner's report, the body hadn't lost any teeth. And so they were going to dig it up and look to see if the tooth had fallen out. Only the bottom half of the skeleton was missing of the skull.
What?
Yeah, right. So you're like, that's really fucked up. Only it's not. What happened was, of the bodies that hadn't yet been identified, which at the time was her kid, since, you know, after they identified the kid, it was 8. Before then, it was 9, right? But of the ones they hadn't identified yet, in order to give, you know, the bodies a proper burial, they removed the jaw, which is at the time, you know, all the stuff that they would use for dental records, right? So that if a parent came along with some dental records and was like, check to see if it's my son, they'd have the jaw to compare it to still, right?
Oh, okay.
So they took the jaws out and they kept those separately and then buried the people. And so, but coincidentally enough, which I never knew this, apparently the jaw is like a good place to find remaining DNA after a really long period of time, right?
Damn. Okay.
And so, or in fact, I guess the only place, right? Because they said they dug up the body, and when they couldn't find the jaw, they pulled DNA, did a DNA test, and it didn't match. Because, let me back up. So when DNA came out, the state decided that they were going to run DNA profiles on the remaining victims that hadn't been identified, and then tell everybody, hey, if you have a missing son that kind of fits these parameters, you know, bring in anything that we can test, and we'll run the DNA, try to identify the last 8 people, right?
Sure.
And so they had run all the DNA of the remaining victims, and so she does this DNA test and turns it in, and it doesn't match, right? And so they're like, but how did you get a DNA sample? Because the only place you could have gotten one from, we have,
right? Yeah,
which is the jaw. And so they're saying there was enough of the jaw left to pull a sample, and the cops are saying, we don't really know about that. Why don't you give us all the information? We'll run some tests and look into it. If we made a mistake, we made a mistake. You know, the mom somewhat understandably is like, you know, I don't, you know, like, it seems like y'all might have been lying to me this whole time. I don't trust y'all, and won't give them the information. So they won't reopen the case. They're like at the standstill. The mom doesn't believe them. The cops are like, you haven't really given us a reason to reinvestigate this yet.
Yeah.
And they won't. So that's one of them. Anyways, they're still, then they did identify 2 more.
We are way off subject.
Yeah. It's a crazy story. You should check it out. But man, there are all these crazy ass conspiracy theories about this dude. Man, people just, I don't know, they have too much time on their hands, or it's like, I don't like what the guy's
So this
dead.
was on the special?
Yeah. The guy's dead. He got fried. They gave him the electric chair. And it was coincidentally enough right after they decided the electric chair was cruel and unusual punishment, and it switched to lethal injection. Well, he had gotten, you know, sentenced to it before they changed it, and so I guess they were like, "Hey, it is cruel and unusual, but it's too late. Dude's getting fried." And yeah, and then I think they did. I think they did end up. I'm trying to think what happened, but no. So they did switch it. I take the back. They did switch it. But then they fucked that. No, wait.
All right, you're gonna tell me which one this is, because I'm looking at the wiki page, And let's see. Is it To Catch a Killer? Nope. This is To Catch a Killer starring Brian Dennehy is 1992. A feature film, Gacy, is 2003. Made for TV film Dear Mr. Gacy is 2010.
No.
And then the horror film 8213 Gracie House is 2010. Oh, wait, here, documentaries. That's probably more in the wheelhouse. Let's see. Discovery Channel.
Nope.
The New Detectives.
Well, I guess maybe it could be because no, it's a Peacock original. John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise.
Nice. It's not even listed here, I guess. Investigation, Biography Channel, Lifetime Movies. Oh, there it is. The very last one. The documentary series John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise, commissioned by Peacock.
Yeah.
The first episode of this series was broadcast in March 2021. Wow, so it just came out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's brand new. It's
Wow,
good.
okay.
It's worth
I have to
watching.
watch that. Yeah.
And there's
I have to watch
interviews
that.
with him too.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah. They're doing a lot of that now. They just did a thing on Netflix with Bundy where they released tapes of him that hadn't been released before.
Yeah, I've heard the ones with the other guy with the Night Stalker, whatever his name is.
That
Rodriguez.
show that just came out. Yeah.
Yeah. But
That one was good too.
yes, that one was good, but they actually didn't show the or they didn't, I guess at the very end they have some commentary about it, but I actually listened to the tapes. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Well, and not to bury the lead, and a spoiler alert, if you're gonna watch the show, I'll give you a second. But at the very end, this friend of his that comes and visits him a long time, when he knows he's going to get executed, he gives him a bunch of his personal shit because he doesn't, want them to, empty out his cell afterwards.
Yeah.
And there's some tapes in it, and this was, the 70s, right? And then a couple of months ago, he realizes that he has this box of shit that he just put away and forgot about it, and then it has tapes in it that aren't part of like all the other shit that everybody has. And he opens it up and plays it, and it's Gacy talking to his attorney, and he's admitting to all the shit.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because his whole argument about his confessions was that they lied. They didn't ever have him on tape. Why can't they produce the tapes? Why can't they produce the tape? And the cops are like, having tapes are great. He wouldn't let us record it. And if he didn't let us, we couldn't do it. Having a stenographer come in is also great. He wouldn't let us do that. Having a signed confession, he wouldn't sign a confession, but he told us everything that happened. So, that's why we don't have tapes, it's pretty actually logical. Right. But then, for some reason, he taped the interviews with his attorney and he fucking admits to all of it. Not that there was really any doubt, in anybody's mind. Of course, now they think that he was part of some big child smuggling ring, and why didn't they investigate that? And a lot of it is all just like he knew a person that knew a person. 6 degrees of separation bullshit that you're gonna find with anybody. I mean, is it possible? Sure, but they all act like it's obvious. That's what I was gonna say. That's what made me think of it. Is one lady does the whole thing like, how many coincidences can there possibly be? And it's like always a million of them. That's always the answer. Yeah. There's always tons of coincidences. It doesn't necessarily mean shit. Like coincidences always, I know like detectives and shit like to say, I don't believe in coincidence. And I get it for their line of work, but the reality is there's always lots of coincidences. That's always going to be the case, like in every story.
His last words were "kiss my ass."
That sounds about right. God. Yeah, he never, when he confessed, he didn't show any sympathy. And then, of course, he said he didn't do it, that it was other people that were killing people and burying them in his fucking house without
just happened to be burying them in his house.
Yeah, and he would say shit like, it could have been so-and-so. One time I woke up and came in and he was laying there and there was a dead guy on the floor and I left. And then when I came back, the dead guy was there. And I don't know what happened to the guy or why, it's like,
well, of course, there you go.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. That and there's nothing wrong with you seeing a dead guy in your house and then just forgetting about it. That makes you totally innocent. Shit. And there was always like, I mean, yeah, it was just like the kid that got him caught. I mean, it was so fucking obvious that he did it. Like,
Oh.
yeah. I mean, it was ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. But that's a serial killer for you. Always trying to get out of it.
Yeah. Oh, so
Anyway.
that guy apparently was not the guy that was killing people in Compton. Gary
No?
Ridgway. He's the Green River Killer.
Yeah, I thought that's not.
Nope.
What's the Compton
Washington.
guy?
I don't know.
Because this guy said Samuel Little, American serial killer who was convicted, murders
Oh, maybe I'm
3
wrong.
women in California.
Sorry, I went Gary Ridgway. Maybe I got that wrong. I thought it was Ridgway that we were talking about. So it's Little. Sorry. Then maybe
Samuel Little. I mean, it
Samuel Little.
It says
California between 87 and
Yeah.
89.
This might not be the same guy, though. I might be wrong.
60 murders, the largest number of proven cases for any serial killer in the United States history. He allegedly murdered women across 19 states over a third of a century, ending in 2005. Wow.
Yeah, wait. Him.
All right, we.
Nope, it's a different guy. The Grim Sleeper.
Nice.
Yeah, that's him. Lonnie Franklin.
Lonnie Franklin. That sounds like a murderer's name right there. Don't ever name your child Lonnie.
Yeah, no shit.
I think that was that was from Roseanne. Remember Roseanne's father marries her friend or something, and her friend's son's name is Lonnie.
In real life or on the show?
On the show.
I don't remember her dad. I remember her friend marrying her husband in real life, but that wasn't her dad on the show.
Oh yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. Yeah. No. It was her friend, the kind of old one that's kind of like all the older one, and she was kind of real prissy, and they always kind of like made fun of her or whatever because she didn't go out, or she was really okay. It's all right. But anyway, in the show she marries Roseanne's father, and her oldest child is named Lonnie.
Okay. Yeah, and that was the other so the kid that they caught him for, when he confessed, he said he used this trick where he locks his hands behind his back with handcuffs, right? And then struggles for a minute and then like shows that he's gotten himself out. And the kid's
really?
like, "Oh, that's crazy." He's like, "How do you do that?" And he's like, "Let me show you. Give me your hands." And he handcuffs the guy's hands and he like struggles for a little bit and he's like, I can't figure it out. How do you do it? And he goes, "Oh, I slipped the key out of my back pocket. You got to have the key to do it." And then now he's got the guy handcuffed with his hands behind his back. Yeah. I mean, awesome might not be the right word for it, but it's certainly smart. I gotta say, I don't know. Who knows? I'd like to think that if I was gone back to some dude's house to fill out an application that I'd never met before, I would not let him handcuff me, whether I thought they were handcuffs or not.
I don't let my friends handcuff me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the kid was like 16 or something. It was fucked up, but yeah. Crazy shit, man. People are crazy. And I mean, he had like wife and kids, like respected in the community, successful businesses, like dressed up for clowns for kids' parties. Everybody liked him. Crazy shit, man. You never know.
All right, man. I think it's time to
I agree.
Put her to bed.
I agree. All right, man. We'll see you next week. We need, man, if anybody is listening or does listen, send in ideas and we will use them. We got to come up with some for next week.
There was some good stuff that came out this week too. Oh man.
Oh, shout out to DMX. I totally forgot about that.
Oh, that's right. DMX.
DMX, dude. What a tough life. I mean, part of me is like, how awesome is it to go from where he was to where he ended up? And yet, obviously, it was still a really fucked up life for the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
some real fucking demons and shit. It's too bad, but very
Like I
fucking
said,
talented.
I remember. It was weird how your memory plays tricks on you. Man, I thought of him as like bigger than life. Like he was huge.
Yeah, he
And I
was,
look back, and he's more like kind of Tupac. He looked kind of like Tupac, which I mean, they were both cut, but he wasn't really
he
like
was
as big as I remember him.
I think he was a little bit bigger than Tupac, but yeah, he was not. He wasn't bulky. But he was cut. He was like,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I mean, he like always had his shirt off, and he was always like, "Rah!" I mean, like he just, the impression was that he was bigger than life. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah,
had the
that's true.
voice, and he was always like rapping about hard shit, and he had, the fucking muscle shirt on, so
Yeah. Oh yeah, and most of the time he didn't even have a shirt on.
right,
Most of the time he
didn't
didn't
have a shirt on. Yeah, right, for sure. Yeah, yeah, that shit was crazy. I remember like when he got busted for, was it like stealing a car from the
Yeah,
airport, and
yeah,
then
that's right.
while he was smoking crack.
Yeah,
That was some
yeah.
crazy shit.
Well, he was apparently, and he actually like freely admits this, is that he was a stick-up guy. Like they said that he had tried making money from drugs, and it really wasn't his bag. And everyone has their own bag to make money, and his bag was really stick-up. That he would just come up on people, pull a gun on them, and rob them. And that was his deal before he got famous or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, right before he like started going in the studio, he went in the studio with like some friends of his, and kind of like stole the show, so to speak, and got a lot of recognition for it. But I mean, he was living on the street when that happened.
yeah.
Him and his dog.
I forgot who it was, but they show there's one like again before he got famous, where he's sitting at a table with like three famous rappers, like really famous rappers, and they're all like just freestyling, and he's beatboxing behind them, like giving them a like give me a beat, and he's providing the beat, and they're like freestyling.
Yeah. Dude could rap. I mean, I never know. I mean, you weren't saying he was, but I don't know about freestyling. But when he wrote that shit down, he was fucking talented as fuck.
Absolutely, he was saying stuff that people weren't saying at the time, and he could tell a story, which was awesome. And I've always liked rappers who could do that. Again, shout out to Tupac. He was another definite artist at that too.
Yeah, it's too bad. He hasn't put anything out in forever, but
no, but he and Snoop Dogg did a verses about a month ago, and they just like sat down for a good hour and a half and just BS'd, and they went over all their old songs, and they sing about a verse of each one of their songs, and they just go back and forth. It's hilarious to watch. Snoop Dogg's having a wonderful time. Like he always does. And of course, they spark up a blunt right before they get to it.
I always think that shit is interesting, like Snoop and like Ice-T and shit. Like, come on, like the whole argument for people are not the same as they used to be. You know what I mean? They come a long fucking way from who they were when before they got discovered and shit.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Fucking Ice Cube. Making like fucking, family movies and shit. From Fuck the Police to like, are we there yet?
Well, Ice-T from Fuck the Police to being a cop on a show about police.
Not just Fuck the Police. Like, I mean, he was a pimp.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, he actually didn't he have like a cop killer? He had cop
No,
killer.
he did but I'm saying like that was music. And I mean, you're right. Which is, I mean, exactly what I just said about Ice-T. But I mean, Ice-T was literally a pimp.
No, that's true.
He went from being like a guy that robbed people and pimped to like a rapper and a fucking actor. And he wasn't even that, like, I give him all the credit in the world now. I used to hate his acting when he was so bad at it when he first, like, he was totally relying on the fact that he was already famous to pull that shit off. Nobody would have hired him based on his actual skill level. But he's really good now. Like in SVU, he's really good. I love him. He pulls that part off perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's probably one of my favorite parts of the show now. There's a new one. The
I've heard.
old partner from SVU has his own
Which is the
show
one,
now.
honestly, that's the guy I like better. I like him better than Olivia. But yeah,
I didn't
watched
used
that
to
guy.
like her. I like her a lot more now. At first, I didn't like her, but I like her now. But yeah, I agree. I like him. He's great. And I mean, he's been in so much good shit too. Have you ever seen that one where he has?
Dude, we're never gonna stop.
All right, you should watch that one where his daughter's imaginary friend like follows him around.
Are you serious?
Oh,
Oh yeah,
so
the TV
good.
show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like a washed up cop, and it's so good. He's so good in it. It's
That's
good.
hilarious.
Yeah, that one's definitely. I can't remember what it is right now, but it's way out there weird, but it's really fucking good.
Yeah, they had a couple that were like just out there because there's another one that's it's like a dog who can talk, but only when other people aren't around or something. It might be with Tobey Maguire or the other Spider-Man. I can't remember.
Yeah, this one's like a cartoon.
Yeah. Is
Unicorn
it a movie or a TV
something
show?
that flies. It's a
TV
TV
show.
show. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
TV show. It's really good. It's funky though, like the bag, like it's like weird. It's out there weird, but it's really good. He does really. He's really great in the role. And I think the cartoon guy is the guy, the little short fat dude. He has a. He's on that. Have you seen AP Biology? He's the principal.
Oh yeah.
That guy. He's
Oh
the
really?
voice.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's not
he's
Paul.
nice.
Oh man, I can't remember his name now.
Hold on, I'll look it up. That'll be the last thing we do.
Oswald? It's not Oswald, is it?
I think that's right.
Patton Oswald?
Something like that. AP Biology is. I love that show so much.
It is pretty funny. I only watched the first 6 episodes, but
They're the best ones too.
Yeah.
But it's because like the reason I like it is like where on everything else, like the kids are the genius, like he just fucking shits on them. Like, nah, like shut up, you morons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do about it? Can you go tell on me? You know what I mean? Like, I love that shit. They're like so helpless, and it's like finally something that's a little bit more realistic. You know what I mean? Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt, yeah, I love that
He's
guy.
hilarious.
Awesome.
He's hilarious.
He's in the Marvel universe too.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Signing
All
out.
right.
We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching. It's
Much
been
love.
fun. Yeah.
All right, later.
Later.